How's it going, folks? Welcome to another fun at-home table read. Tonight, we're jumping into another unproduced screenplay. This was a draft of Batman, written back in 1984. I'm really excited to see what this one's going to be because, you know, I love the 89 Batman, so I'm curious to see what we almost got. But let's just jump in. Let's just start introducing ourselves.
Hello, I'm George, and I'll be doing the action description.
Hi, I'm Johnny. I'll be playing Batman.
I'm Erik. I will be Alfred.
Curtis, I'm going to be Commissioner Gordon.
I'm Logan. I'm going to be the Joker.
Hi, Anne, and I will be Silver St. Cloud.
Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm gonna make Batman an Orphan by Joe Chill.
I'm Angi, and I am Thorne.
I'm Travis, and I'll be playing the Dick.
How did I know that's how he was going to say?
We're going to have so much fun tonight.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's jump right into this thing. George, take us away.
All right. Batman by Tom Mankiewicz. Fade in, superimposed on a black screen. Wayne Manor, near Gotham City, 1960. Exterior Wayne Manor, sunset. A beautiful, sprawling suburban estate at sunset. Classic wrought iron gates protect a winding driveway, which snakes its way up through a neatly manicured lawn. Interior Wayne living room, night. Alfred Pennyworth, the Wayne family butler, fluffs up a cushion in the large, elegant living room. A kind-looking man in his late 40s with dark mustache and hair, he epitomizes the proper British major domo, dressed in a morning coat and striped vest. Alfred turns, strings up a pile of thick-looking papers on the living room table. He picks up the top one, looks at it critically, but with satisfaction. Insert shot, campaign poster. The thick-looking papers are in fact political campaign posters. They feature the face of a handsome 40-ish man with the block-lettered caption, Dr. Thomas Wayne for City Council, a better tomorrow for Gotham.
Bruce, hurry up, son. We're going to be late. Martha?
Back to scene. Alfred turns to look as Dr. Thomas Wayne, the man on the poster, enters the room.
Where's Martha? Alfred, have you seen Mrs. Wayne?
I believe she was headed for Master Bruce's laboratory, sir.
Dr. Wayne checks his watch, exits, muttering.
And then that nymphomaniacal hamster of his must have given birth again.
Interior hallway. Dr. Wayne heads down the hallway towards the door.
Come on, everybody. The movie starts in less than an hour. So I'll keep your next city councilman waiting.
Interior Bruce's lab. Dr. Wayne opens the door. The makeshift lab room has a large work table crammed with beakers, test tubes, and other scientific equipment. Bruce Wayne, age 10, sits behind a microscope, peers down intently at a specimen on a slide. He does not look up as his father enters.
Son, whatever you're looking at couldn't possibly be as pretty as Audrey Hepburn. So...
Dr. Wayne puts his hand on Bruce's shoulder. Incredibly enough, it passes right through it. He recoils, shocked, reaches out to touch the body's head. His hand cuts right through the skull. Giggling is heard off screen. Young Bruce stands behind the door with his mother, Martha, a beautiful woman in her mid-30s.
It's called a holograph, Dad. 2 interconnecting laser beams, here and there. Pretty neat, huh?
Dr. Wayne stares at the laser tubes, totally nonplussed.
Well, don't look at me. My side of the family still can't figure out why it gets dark at night. Ready to go?
How can I be so sure that you're the real thing?
Oh, yeah? Well, hold on to your socks, Buster.
She plants a long and lingering kiss on him. They break. Dr. Wayne stares lovingly into her eyes, then looks down at her beautiful and distinctive necklace, which he fingers gently.
Didn't I get you that on our first anniversary?
I was young enough not to realize that you were the gift.
She kisses him again with passion. Bruce turns away with the typical self-consciousness of a pre-adolescent.
Oh, God.
His parents break. Dr. Wayne looks down at him.
Bruce, you may be the brightest 10-year-old in Gotham City, or anywhere else for that matter. But I feel I ought to let you know on something. This is definitely not a guy.
Interior movie theater night. The shifting colored rays of a projected film knife through the blackness of the theater.
Sister, you make a beautiful man. Dolly.
Or none. Ain't go on movie screen. The screen is filled by the face of Audrey Hepburn dressed as a nun. We're watching the nun story, as are Angle on Wayne family in seats. Dr. Wayne, Martha, and Bruce, who downs the remains of his box of good and plenty. Exterior Gotham movie theater and street night. Rumblings of distant thunder echo through the night sky. The Wayne family exits the theater, heads down a deserted street. Suddenly, a flash of lightning, a closer, louder clap of thunder. Dr. Wayne takes Martha's arm. Bruce straggles behind, staring at the pavement.
I wish I hadn't parked so far away. I'm going to get soaked.
Do try and keep up, Bruce. What on earth are you staring at anyway?
Cracks, Mom. It's bad luck to step on one. Ah, darn it.
Hold it, you people. Freeze.
A large man, Joe Chill, partially hidden by shadows, points a gun at them. He stands in the sunken entrance to a deserted brownstone house, gestures with weapon.
Get down in here. Now.
Thomas?
You're welcome to our money. Anything we have, okay?
Chill stares coldly. Dr. Wayne pulls out his money, takes off his watch. Martha and Bruce watch, petrified.
Here, just be careful with that gun, will you? It could go off.
You know something, Doc? You're right.
Doc, how did you know I was a...
There is a deafening roar as Chill fires the gun, lifting Dr. Wayne off his feet, hurling him backwards.
Daddy!
Martha screams, a bolt of lightning flashes, Chill turns.
Let's have that necklace, lady.
Oh my god.
Martha tries to escape but is jerked back by Chill's hand as it closes on her necklace. Bruce runs at Chill, grabs him by the leg, tries to pull him down.
Leave my mommy alone! Mommy!
Chill fires again. The necklace snaps free as Martha is jerked backwards, then crumples next to her husband, close on Bruce. He kneels over his mother's body, pauses in shock, then looks up. The barrel of Chill's gun comes into frame, close on Chill. The necklace in one hand, his gun in the other. He looks down at Bruce, his expression suddenly changing. Back to Bruce. He stares at Chill, his jaw inadvertently twitching with rage. A loud clap of thunder rolls across the sky. Bruce's eyes have become steel, visible fury shooting forth from them in an almost demonic fashion. Chill's gun hand suddenly starts to tremble. Incredibly, the savage face of this young boy has unnerved.
Stop looking at me like that, kid. Stop looking at me like that.
Suddenly, a flash of lightning. Rain begins to fall in sheets. Chill runs up to the street, disappears into the rain-swept darkness. Angle on apartment building. Lights have flicked on in the apartment building across the street. Faceless witnesses stand silhouetted in the windows, gazing down at the tragedy across the street. Camera pushes in on one particular window. A shadowy figure half emerges from the darkness, his face still hidden from us. All that is visible is an oversized pair of striped pants and a large white daisy stuck through the coat lapel. The shadowy figure pauses, then reaches out an arm and slowly lowers the window shade. From behind the shade, an insane, maniacal giggle starts to rise. Tiny at first, but gradually building to a sudden explosion of cascading, frightening glee. Back to Bruce, kneeling in the rain across the street, paralyzed with shock and grief. He looks up from the bodies of his parents as a couple approaches along the pavement above.
Help! Oh, please help me!
The couple stop, stare down at the scene.
It's my mom and dad. Please. I think they're dead.
The couple exchange a quick, horrified glance, then hurry off down the street. Back to Bruce. Sobbing uncontrollably now, tears mixing with the rain. In the distance, the low whine of an approaching siren. Camera rises into the night sky. A flashing bolt of lightning rips across the screen. The residue remains in the night sky. A searing yellow dot. Another bolt of lightning. Another yellow dot. Then a deafening clap of thunder as the gray-black clouds arrange themselves into a dark and eerie silhouette. The siren grows louder, piercing shrilly through the rumblings of the storm. The silhouette becomes more familiar now as the billowing clouds form themselves into a dark cape. The dots of lightning begin to pulsate as they evolve into two searing yellow eyes. This, then, is the signal of the future presence of the dark redeemer of the night, the Black Wraith, the avenger of countless wrongs, the Batman. Dissolved through to Exterior hillside cemetery near Gotham. Day. A beautiful rolling hill overlooking Gotham City. As camera tracks through the trees, tombstones begin to appear. We're in the middle of an immaculate pastoral graveyard. Down below in the distance, an endless line of black limousines snakes its way up a winding road. Camera continues to track, finally holding on, the unfilled graves of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Dark-suited funeral attendants wait silently by the caskets. Exterior Gotham City, day, establishing shot. A hot sun showers a blazing glow on the throbbing metropolis of Gotham City, choked with cars, buses, pedestrians, and the attendant pollution. A great American city going through the routine performance of its daily mundane chores. Exterior newsstand, day. Camera close on an oversized pair of striped pants standing in front of a corner newsstand.
A copy of the Trib, please.
Close on Gotham Tribune. An edition of the Gotham Tribune is handed over. The headlines scream, Dr. and Mrs. Thomas Wayne gunned down in senseless robbery/killing. Political hopeful was well ahead in latest polls. An insane giggle rises off screen. Camera pans up from the front page to the horrified face of the news vendor, staring in disbelief at the person reading the Tribune. Close on Joker, his POV. The hideous face of the Joker, a revolting perversion of a human being with a chalk white complexion, ruby red lips, and a startling shock of green hair. He giggles as he reads. A Confederate, Humphrey, stands behind. The vendor continues to stare as the Joker suddenly notices.
Something wrong?
Your face, it's...
Familiar? Maybe we met in Toledo.
I never been to Toledo.
Neither have I. Must have been two other guys. Have a cigar?
Gee, thanks. The vendor takes the cigar and lights it. The Joker and Humphrey move off down the street.
Want to hear a good one? What's black and white and dead all over?
Newspaper, boss, but it ain't black and white and red all over.
Suddenly, there's a tremendous explosion. Angle on corner newsstand. The corner newsstand has virtually disappeared. Thousands of pages drift down through the air into the debris. Back to Joker.
No.
Exterior hillside cemetery, day. The procession of limousines has started back down the hill from the funeral. Alfred stands alone by a black Rolls Royce, looks off sadly as young Bruce Wayne gently places a flower on each of his parents' graves. His eyes are glassed over, but tears do not fall. Alfred puts a protective arm around him.
It's unfair, of course, but sometimes Master Bruce, one simply has to accept conditions as they are and make the best of them.
Why?
Why? Why? Because I don't know, really.
Neither do I.
Interior Thorne campaign headquarters, day. Telephones ring, typewriters clack. A campaign poster features the face of Rupert Thorne, an earnest-looking man with a granite hard face. Underneath is a logo. Rupert Thorne, he'll make our streets safe again. Aides rush back and forth as a door marked private, Earth's open, and Thorne appears.
Are they all out there?
We're waiting for the evening sentinel, Mr. Thorne.
Screw the Sentinel. I gotta make the 6 o'clock news. What's the name of Wayne's kid?
Bruce, seems like he's already identified a mugshot of the killer, sometime hood named Joe Chill.
Thorne nods, heads to the door, mumbling to himself.
Our hearts go out to the Wayne family, particularly their young son, Bruce.
Exterior campaign headquarters, day. A throng of reporters and TV remote units snap to attention as Thorne appears on the steps of his campaign headquarters. He silences a cacophony of overlapping questions with upraised hands, terminally sincere.
I didn't want to win like this, not through tragedy, but it's cruelly ironic.
Exterior Gotham, day. A more downbeat section of Gotham's business district. Camera closes on the Monarch Playing Card Company.
That a good man like Thomas Wayne, who spoke up so forcefully for the rights of criminals, should himself become the ultimate victim.
Interior Joker's lair, day. A huge room, garishly decorated in a clown motif. The wallpaper is one contiguous deck of cards. There are harlequin chairs, jesters, an open jack-in-the-box, etc. A man sits in a chair at the end of the room, facing away from camera. He watches Thorne on a TV set.
but his murderer will be caught and executed, I promise you. It's time the scum of our society see what we mean to have new law and order on the streets of Gotham City.
Suddenly, the set goes mute. The man in the chair swivels around slowly. It's Joe Chill. The Joker stands with Humphrey at the entrance to the room, lowers a remote control box. He grins at Chill.
It's always good to see you, Joe. It means you're not behind my back.
The Joker chuckles as Chill rises, crosses, drops an envelope on the table, which falls open. Insert shot, envelope. Partially seen, but clearly visible. Thomas Wayne's watch, a few dollars in cash, and Martha Wayne's distinctive necklace. Back to scene. Chill holds out his hand. The Joker drops his own envelope into it, filled with cash. Chill counts silently.
You did a good job, Joe. You'll go far in this world. And for your sake, you better stay there.
Chill nods, exits the room. Humphrey fingers Martha Wayne's necklace appreciatively as the Joker heads for a bar area.
Pretty, but for 10 grand? You may have paid the guy too much, Joker.
The Joker shakes his head in wonderment, begins pouring drinks.
Tell me something, Humphrey. Is your family happy? Or do you go home at night?
I'll shut up, okay, boss?
Oh, don't worry about it. I enjoy talking to you. My mind needs a rest occasionally.
The Joker grins as they sit at the table and he puts down the drinks. One glass contains a clear liquid, the other a thick, bilious yellow concoction. The Joker edges it across the table at Humphrey, who eyes it suspiciously.
Well, drink up.
How come you ain't drinking this?
Good idea. I like lemonade.
He takes it from Humphrey, then hands him the glass of clear liquid. They both down their drinks. The Joker giggles insanely.
What's so funny?
I was just thinking about how ugly I am.
Humphrey stares in stunned silence, too terrified to speak.
You know, when I was born, I was so ugly the doctor slapped my mother.
The Joker slams the table in glee. Humphrey remains petrified. The Joker picks up Humphrey's empty glass, examines it curiously, then looks back at him again.
Ugly? Why, after the nurse cut the cord, she hung herself.
Suddenly, the corners of Humphrey's mouth twitch. They rise involuntarily. He snickers again, starts to giggle. The Joker's eyes narrow with a cruel smile.
I mean, my mother only got morning sickness after I was born.
Humphrey instantly explodes with laughter.
And on Halloween, when I opened the door, the kids gave me candy.
Humphrey is on his feet now, convulsingly. He sinks to his knees out of control and collapses on the floor.
This one will kill you. The other day when I went to my doctor and asked for a vasectomy, he said with a face like yours, you don't need one.
Close on Humphrey, dead, his mouth frozen in a grotesque grin. The Joker stares down blankly.
But seriously, folks.
He looks off, presses the remote control box, activates the sound on the television again. Close on TV, Rupert Thorne leans in with an oily look.
In the meantime, our hearts go out to the Wayne family, particularly to their young son, Bruce.
Back to Joker watching Thorne. His face twists into a cruel smile.
And I'd like to think that one day Thomas Wayne will look down on this earth and this city and say,
as Thorne and the Joker speak simultaneously,
you know
what?
I was
wrong.
That Rupert
Thorne is one heck of a city councilman.
The Joker explodes in laughter. His terrifying guffaws propel him off the chair onto the floor. Exterior Wayne Manor, day. A large truck with the logo Gotham Gymnastics starts down the driveway to the gates, moving away from Wayne Manor. Interior Manor exercise room, day. Alfred and Bruce stand in a newly outfitted exercise room. The equipment has been expertly installed. Rings, parallel bars, balancing beam, weight machines, etc. Bruce is in a t-shirt and shorts. He gazes at the impressive array.
One hardly knows where to begin.
Those rings seem simple enough.
Bruce crosses to the rings, leaps, catches hold, tries to hoist himself up. His eyes bulge. He tries again, then drops to the floor in a heap.
Perhaps if we lowered them.
If you excuse me now, Alfred, I'll see you at dinner.
Yes, sir.
Alfred leaves, closing the door. Bruce turns, glares up at the rings like deadly enemies. He jumps again, catches hold, starts to hoist himself up, straining with the effort, the veins standing out on his forehead. Slowly, painfully, he begins to inch himself higher and higher. Interior karate studio day. Bruce is dressed in a martial arts outfit, tensely faces a thick pine board being held by a Japanese instructor.
But you must believe. Really believe you can do it. The mind is more powerful than the fist, and the fist is more powerful than the board. Understand? Understood?
Bruce nods earnestly, sets himself. With a blood-curdling scream, he lashes out. Then an instantaneous second scream as his fist crumples against the unyielding board.
Let's go over it again.
Exterior mountain road, sunrise. A tree-lined, winding road at dawn. Bruce jogs along easily, his right hand encased in a plaster cast. Jogging next to him, huffing and puffing, an exhausted French professor.
I am happy.
Je suis hero.
Je suis heureux to make your acquaintance.
De faire votre connaissance.
Connaissance.
Bruce looks ahead towards a bend in the road. Alfred stands by the Rolls Royce, checking his watch. The spent professor peels off to the side as Bruce continues on.
Merci, mon professeur. Tomorrow at 6 again? Okay.
The professor manages a feeble wave, collapses by the side of the road in front of Alfred, who administers a thermos of hot coffee and a croissant to the stricken man, because he's French. Exterior Wayne Manor lawn, day. Bruce stands facing a large, brightly colored archery target on the lawn of Wayne Manor. From off-screen, behind his back, we hear a whirring sound, close on arrow gun. A gleaming steel arrow clicks into the firing slot of an automatic fire Gatling gun device. Suddenly, it fires. Back to Bruce. Wheeling around to face the onrushing whizzing arrow, lifting a heavily padded hand to catch it in midair. He misses. The arrow thunks into his chest, directly over his heart. Bruce sighs, removes the arrow, jerking it out of his hidden protective vest.
Darn.
Another arrow whizzes at him. Bruce drops to one knee, this time almost catching it as the steel tip rips away a piece of the heavy padding on his hand, close on Alfred at window. Alfred watches from a window, shaking his head, appalled, now returns to his housekeeper. Interior exercise room, day. Bruce is on the rings again, by now using them with considerable expertise, swinging his body in somersaults, then performing the difficult iron cross maneuver. He pauses at full extension, then swings back, launches himself towards the parallel bars. Catching the bars expertly, he performs a complicated routine, pausing at the top to look across the room. A thin balance beam sits below, 10 feet away. Bruce swings back one more time on the upper parallel bar, then flies through the air for the beam. His feet land on top for one split tenuous second. He teeters, then crashes heavily to the floor. Shaking his head to clear the cobwebs, he stares back at the beam, determined. Exterior Wayne Manor, day. Alfred exits the rear of Wayne Manor onto the lawn.
Master Bruce, luncheon is served.
Alfred hears a crumbling sound, looks up as a piece of brick falls, narrowly missing. Angle on Bruce, Alfred's POV. Bruce is scaling the side of the house. A thick rope encircles the chimney of Wayne Manor as Bruce makes his way up the structure, hand over hand. Suddenly, the old brick chimney starts to crumble. The rope jerks free as bricks fly everywhere, and Bruce tumbles heavily down to the lawn at Alfred's feet. Bruce looks up, grins sheepishly. Alfred glances back up at the demolished chimney, then back down at Bruce again.
Santa will be heartbroken, sir.
Interior karate studio, day. A terrifying scream. A pine board is smashed to smithereens by a lightning quick fist. Bruce wheels to face camera. He is now 17 years old. Cool, clear eyes flick in the opposite direction as two students charge him. He flips one over his head, flips the other, while simultaneously spinning around to face the instructor who closes ranks from behind. The fight is furiously expert, hands and feet working like windmills. Bruce is parrying every thrust the instructor has to offer, countering every move, but is nonetheless being backed into a corner. The instructor moves in for the kill as Bruce suddenly vaults up and over him in a 7-foot back flip. Grabbing the man's black belt from behind for leverage, he hoists the instructor over his head, then sends the bewildered man flying through the air, crashing onto the mat in a heap. Bruce looks over, suddenly concerned. He holds the instructor's black belt in his hands. The instructor's eyes suddenly pop open. He grins.
That's okay. You can keep it.
Interior ballet studio day. A line of beautiful young would-be ballerinas perform positions at the bar to the musical strains of Swan Lake. A stern instructress barks out the numbers. Camera tracks past the female figures at the bar. In the middle of the line, dressed in tights and a t-shirt, Bruce Wayne. Perspiring heavily, he performs the set routine with amazing grace. A gorgeous dancer looks over her shoulder at him, whispers under her breath, "Any of the guys ever make fun of you?"
One guy. Once.
Interior brokerage firm day. A stock ticker jumps to life. Camera pans the oak-paneled walls of a room past portrait paintings of severe-looking brokers in three-piece suits.
Valuable trust fund left you by your father, the late Dr. Thomas Wayne. Now we admit that young Bruce here has made a few lucky guesses in the past.
Camera holds on a boardroom conference table. Two impeccably turned out brokers face Alfred and Bruce.
Let's hold on to our oil stocks for now. I see a chance of gasoline rising to 60, maybe 70 cents a gallon.
Why not $1?
And I'd prefer to transfer our mutual funds into the development of the computer chip. I've been experimenting with them and
computer
chip.
Sounds like a after-school snack for machines. Anything else?
As a matter of fact, there is. Yesterday, I had some delicious hamburgers at this little place called McDonald's.
God. The two brokers exchange a totally exasperated look. Exterior Monument Valley day. Camera pans a campsite with pup tents and a burnt-out campfire to a van featuring the logo, Gotham High School Mountaineering Club. Angle on rock needle. A towering needle-like rock shoots up from the desert floor. Camera pushes in. We see the outlines of 3 climbers connected by a rope halfway up the jagged face. Close on climbers. The wind howls. The first climber drives a baton into the rock face, attaches his line, looks down.
Don't look down, for Christ's sake!
Trying to see if I can spot Bruce.
Will you forget about him? He wandered off. That's all in one of his famous moods.
Well, who knows? Maybe the great Bruce Wayne finally found something he's too scared to tackle.
Angle on rock needle, helicopter shot. Helicopter zooms up and around to the far side of the needle. One lone figure struggles up the absolutely sheer opposite face of the cliff, a few feet from the top. Close on Bruce, his jaw set, eyes clear. The bitter wind whips through his hair. He drives in his final baton, hoists himself up onto the tiny circular crest of the needle. Helicopter camera rises. The majestic valley spreads out below us. In the center, the lonely figure of Bruce Wayne, self-reliance and victory personified. Interior Wayne Manor living room, night. It's late. Alfred relaxes in an easy chair, reading an edition of the Gotham Tribune. The headline screams, Joker steals Kalahari Diamond. Master of Mirth strikes again. Alfred puts down the paper, stifling a yawn. He hears a muted voice from upstairs, rises curiously. Interior Bruce's bedroom, night. Bruce is spread eagled on the bed, fully clothed, fast asleep. A voice drones from a bedside tape recorder.
An atom with a magnetic dipole exposed to a non-uniform magnetic field undergoes a linear force in addition to his tendency towards orientation.
Alfred stops in the doorway with a sympathetic look.
The use of an atomic beam makes it possible an observation of an induced transition.
Alfred switches off the tape, adjusts a quilted coverlet over Bruce with a paternal smile. Interior exercise room, day. Camera pans past the balancing beam, parallel bars, and exercise rings to Bruce, who faces them confidently, but this time with a big difference. He is blindfolded. He takes a tentative step forward, gauging his distance, then leaps up into the air, grabbing the rings with perfect accuracy. He performs a series of difficult routines with clockwork precision, then swings through the air to the parallel bars, latching on to the lower one, then propelling himself up to the higher one. His gyrations become faster, gaining speed and momentum. Suddenly, he launches himself towards the balance beam. Bruce lands on the end of the beam like a cat, keeping his balance, having calculated the exact distance to the inch. He steps forward with total security, travels the length of the beam with the ease of a pedestrian. Reaching the end, he does a complete forward somersault, lands solidly on his feet. Bruce removes his blindfold, stares back at the path he's just taken, amazed by himself.
Incredible!
Bruce turns. A proud Alfred beams from the doorway.
Why, you were as blind as a bat, sir.
Rim shot. Camera pushes in on Bruce's grinning face as we hear.
Many talented, successful graduates of Gotham High, but none like this young man, holder of the highest galactic average in the history of the school.
Exterior Gotham High School grounds day. Camera pans the front lawn of Gotham High School. It is graduation day. Students and proud parents sit in chairs facing a rostrum from where the principal speaks.
8 athletic letters and captain of 5 teams. Your class, valedictorian, Bruce Wayne.
Applause. Bruce rises in his cap and gown, makes his way to the rostrum. A confident presence glows behind his clear eyes, a self-assuredness without ego, a natural grace which exudes the maturity of a man twice his age. Camera pans to the figure of Alfred, who beams with pride.
Thank you, Principal Peters. Fellow students, welcome parents, honored faculty, and guests.
Exterior back of school building day. Bruce hurries down the steps in his black cap and gown, diploma in hand. A pretty co-ed Cindy passes.
Great speech, Bruce. I sure hope you're coming to Dee Dee's tonight.
Thanks, Cindy, but I don't think I can make it. Marshall McClellan is having a talk at the university.
Bruce.
Turns. Cindy looks at him shyly, then moves closer.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, Bruce, but well, I guess all the girls feel the same way.
Feel?
It's just that everybody thinks you're great looking and everything, but you never seem to have time for any fun.
Fun? What kind of fun?
Cindy stares into his eyes with a mixture of hunger and innocence. She leans in, kisses him softly and deeply on the mouth. Bruce's eyes bulge with surprise, then slowly flutter shut. They finally break.
275-7634.
Bruce smiles, slides by, heads down the steps. Cindy watches wistfully. Exterior Gotham streets day. The Rolls Royce makes its way through the crowded streets. Interior Rolls Royce day. Bruce stares out the window. Alfred drives on, takes a small notebook from his pocket and reads.
You have your guitar lesson at 4, following which you wanted time to finish your article for the Scientific American. Tonight, Marshall McClellan lectures at...
Alfred stops. Bruce is lost in another world.
Are you all right, sir?
Bruce turns from the window. Alfred notices something.
Is that blood on your lip?
Bruce frowns curiously. He wipes his lip with his finger, then licks it thoughtfully.
Lipstick.
Alfred smiles uncomfortably. The roll stops at a light. Bruce notices something out the window. Angle of showroom, his POV. An elegant foreign car showroom. In the window, its front grille grinning back at Bruce, a bright red Ferrari. Back to Rolls Royce.
Two 757634.
Beg pardon?
Do you know what's wrong with me, Alfred?
I can't imagine a thing, sir.
Never have any time for any fun.
Exterior beach, dawn. The first orange rays of the sun stab upwards to the clouds in a brilliant sunrise. The bright red Ferrari is parked in the sand on the top of a high dune. The voices of Bruce and Cindy drift up from below.
This Good morning.
Hmm,
You want to go for a swim?
I don't think I can walk. Where'd you learn to do all that?
Here, last night. It's strange, but once I get in the hang of something, I just can't seem to stop. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Hammer pushes in on the Ferrari as the roar of a powerful racing engine is heard, gathering in intensity. Exterior Gotham racetrack day. A gleaming and distinctively futuristic red Formula One racing car roars across the finish line to the waving of a black checkered flag and the wild cheers of the crowd. Angle on winner's circle. We see the adult Bruce Wayne sitting in his racing machine, holding up a trophy under a banner. Winner, Gotham 500. Flashbulbs pop, fans cheer. A buxom Miss Gotham leans in to pose for pictures with Bruce and share champagne from the trophy cup. A disgruntled Mario Andretti elbows his way through the throng to shake hands with the winner.
Hell of a race, Bruce.
Thanks, Mario.
Remember how you told me designing cars was just a hobby with you? Well, keep it that way and let the rest of us make a living, okay?
Miss Gotham leans in, hugs Bruce tightly, giggles, then whispers something in his ear. Bruce looks up.
That's your hobby? No kidding.
Insert shot, Gotham Tribune. The Gotham Tribune cartwheels into frame. The headline reads, President declares, I am not a crook. Farther down the page is a smaller headline reading, Bruce Wayne declares, I am not the father. Millionaire playboy cleared in Miss Gotham paternity suit. Exterior Gotham Courthouse day. A throng of reporters waits with a predominantly female crowd at the entrance to Gotham Courthouse. Bruce suddenly appears in the courthouse doorway as a loud cheer rises from the female crowd. He elbows his way through them, Alfred at his side. Flashbulbs pop. The women scream and reach out at him, trying to tear off a souvenir. Reporters yell overlapping questions.
Sorry, no comment, sorry.
Madam, do try to compose yourself.
They reach the sidewalk and the car. Alfred heads for the front door as Bruce jostles his way inside the back. Interior rolls day. Bruce slams the door shut behind him, turns, stops, stares. Already sitting in the back seat is a beautiful female reporter, legs crossed, perfectly composed, with a portable tape recorder settled on her lap.
And Daniel, Gotham Tribune.
Bruce Wayne, nice to have met you.
He tries the door. There's another scream from the female crowd, pressed around the car anticipating his exit. Two angry feminists raise protesting placards threateningly as Bruce slams the door shut again. Exterior street day. The Rolls lurches its way out of the crowd into traffic. Interior rolls day. Bruce stares ahead in silence. Anne studies him with a wry smile, then pushes the record button on her machine.
Are you gonna play some music?
You know what they say about Bruce Wayne? That he's idle and jaded with no ambition left, because there's nothing left he hasn't done and hasn't been the best at.
It sounds like a pretty boring guy.
What haven't you done, Mr. Wayne? Cured cancer? Climbed Everest? You climbed Everest?
Bruce smiles, reaches out, punches off the recorder.
That's not much of an exclusive.
Well, what did you have in mind?
Something slightly more in depth?
Sort of like Day in the Life of Bruce Wayne?
Exactly. You just go ahead and do whatever you'd be doing naturally, only make me a part of it.
Interior Anne's apartment night. Camera close on Anne's sleeping face as she lies naked in bed, her features locked in a dreamy smile. She sighs contentedly as her own voice is heard from across the room.
Because there's nothing he hasn't done and been the best at.
Bruce stands at the bedroom window, staring down absent-mindedly into the street as he finishes dressing. A loud clap of thunder rolls across the city.
Sounds like a pretty boring guy.
Bruce punches off the recorder, smiles to himself bitterly, exits silently. Exterior apartment street night. Bruce crosses the street to a gleaming Aston Martin sports car. Another thunderclap. Rain falls as he reaches into the car, takes out a top coat and hat. He starts to pull the convertible top up, glances down the street. People scurry to avoid the rain. Down the block across the street, a couple with a young daughter look over nervously as a tough-looking biker on a huge Harley Davidson rolls up parallel to them on the streets. Suddenly, the biker hops the curb in front of the family. Pulling a gun, he herds them back into the dark alleyway, back to Bruce. Eyes narrowing, his jaw twitches. A gunshot rings out. Bruce explodes across the street to the alleyway. As Bruce arrives, the young girl bursts out screaming, runs past him. Bruce hesitates, then runs inside the alley. Angle and alleyway. The man lies in the alley, being cradled by the woman. Blood oozes from the side of his head. Bruce arrives.
I think he'll be all right. Our daughter's run to call an ambulance.
Bruce hears the revving of a motorcycle. Angle down alley, his POV. The biker grins at him from the far end of the alley, puts his Harley in gear, rolls off through the pouring rain. Back to Bruce. He makes his decision, takes off in pursuit.
Careful, he's got a gun.
Bruce runs to the alley corner, looks off. Angle on biker, his POV. The biker hovers by the side of a building, grinning at Bruce through the rain. He rolls forward slowly, almost as if enticing Bruce to follow him, and disappears. Back to Bruce. Bruce arrives at the rear of the building, which faces on a vacant dirt lot. He edges forward through the mud, turning the corner, suddenly coming face to face with the biker. Still grinning, switching off his Harley, muscles bulging through his wet t-shirt as he dismounts.
Congratulations, man. You caught me. Matter of fact,
the roar of engines is heard. Bruce turns to see two more bikers rolling into position behind him. Bruce is hopelessly trapped.
you caught all of us.
The other two bikers now dismount and close in. The first biker draws his gun. Biker number 2 looks Bruce up and down critically, squinting at him through the rain.
That's my raincoat you're wearing. Take it off.
Biker number 2 snaps his arm forward. A switchblade appears in his hand. He flicks it at Bruce, who stands his ground, slicing a button off the front of his raincoat.
Pick up the button, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. Then lick it clean and hand me my coat.
Bruce stares icily, then slowly bends down to retrieve the button from the mud. Suddenly, biker number 1's foot flashes into frame, headed straight at Bruce's face. In a lightning quick move, Bruce grabs the swinging leg with both hands, rises, swings biker number 1 off the ground in a circle, sends him crashing into the motorcycles as his gun goes flying. Biker number 2, switchblade in hand, rushes Bruce. Biker number 3 unhooks chains from his belt. Bruce sidesteps. The knife slashes through his raincoat, sending it billowing out behind him like a cape. Biker number 3 whistles the chains past Bruce's ear. He snatches them, karate kicks biker number 3 in the stomach, simultaneously belting biker number 2 across the side of the head with the chains, knocking him unconscious. Biker number 3 lunges at Bruce from behind. Bruce spins, grabbing his arm, twisting the knife away, catching it in his other hand as he trips biker number 3. Sends him sprawling in the mud. Bruce now straddles him, knife in hand. Close on biker number 3, his head pressed into the mud next to the button.
Your turn to pick up the button, scumbag.
Biker number 3's arm slowly starts forward as Bruce steps on it.
With your mouth.
Biker number 3 shuts his eyes in humiliation as the sound of a siren is heard. Angle on side of building. 2 policemen round the corner of the apartment building, now stop, stare in astonished silence at the 3 bikers, sprawled in the mud near their machines. Bruce has completely disappeared. Exterior alleyway entrance, night. A paramedic van is parked at the entrance. Umbrella holding onlookers watch. A gurney with a wounded man is wheeled out. The woman and the young girl follow. Bruce appears at the edge of the crowd, collar still up, hat adjusted low over his face. He stares. The paramedics stop. One leans down, examines the man, and covers his face with a sheet. The woman turns away in silence. The young girl clings to her. Bruce watches, his eyes filled with tears. He turns, walks off, his camera racks focus to the pouring rain. Exterior Wayne Manor, night. Camera racks back from the rain to Bruce, standing by the Aston Martin in front of Wayne Manor. Interior living room, night. Bruce enters the empty living room. His expression is numb. He pauses, lost in thought. Then, moving as if by instinct, he heads for the stairs leading to the basement. Interior basement hallway, night. Bruce descends the stairs, walks down the hallway to a door. He stops, looks down at the heavy padlock which seals it shut. His eyes close in pain, remembering an earlier time. Interior young Bruce's lab, night. Seen through dim half-light, his childhood lab is coated with dust, a room obviously left unused for years. We hear a key turning in the lock. The door to the lab swings open. Bruce trains a flashlight on the interior of the musty room. He enters, finds a light switch, flips it on. The lab table is much as we remember it, crammed with old test tubes, beakers, etc. Bruce crosses, stares down, lost in his past, then switches on the holograph machine. He stares, stunned and amazed as the holograph figure of 10-year-old Bruce Wayne springs to life, an exact visual reproduction of the child who used to be. The young boy peers down through a cobwebbed microscope in precisely the position we first saw him. Bruce's eyes fill with tears. He shuts them tightly as he hears a voice from long ago.
It's called a holograph, Dad. Pretty neat, huh?
One laser beam suddenly shorts out with age. The image of young Bruce disappears. The second beam continues to burn, its energy directed at a disintegrating basement wall. Bruce slumps at the other side of the table, oblivious, his face buried in his hands. Overlapping images and voice start to appear on the screen. Martha Wayne, giggling with young Bruce, then kissing her husband passionately.
This is definitely not a guy.
Thomas Wayne, his face twisted in anguish as Chill's bullet blows.
Oh my God, no!
A sharp crack as a piece of something crumbles away. Angle on Bruce, looking up, staring across the room. The remaining laser beam has eaten away a piece of the basement wall. There was a dull, echoing thud as the plaster hits the bottom of some unseen cavernous space below. Bruce rises, crossing curiously to the hole in the wall, training his flashlight torch through it. Angle down hole, his POV. An immense cavern trails down and away into the blackness. A network of aged timbers intersect themselves, snoring up the side of the foundation. Back to Bruce, staring, playing his flashlight against the visible parts of the underground cavity. He picks up a beaker from the lab table, then lets it fall through the hole. There is an interminable wait. Finally, the impact of shattering glass. Angle back through hole. Seen from inside, the torch beam shines. Suddenly, a long length of rope is tossed through. Bruce appears in the opening. He wriggles through, hanging onto the rope. Bruce expertly shimmies down the rope, a man completely at home in action he knows well. The beam from the torch dances across the walls of the cavern. High-ribbed, jagged walls, suggesting some sort of labyrinth beyond. The rope is played out. Bruce hangs by the end, looks down, lets himself fall to the cavern floor below. He rises, plays the torch against the sides of the cave. Angle on beam, his POV. The beam searches into crannies, exploring dark gray walls. It comes across a large patch of solid black. Back to Bruce, looking curiously. Back to black pitch. As the beam hits the black patch fully, dozens of yellow eyes appear. The entire mass launches itself into camera with a terrifying screech and the sound of beating wings. Back to Bruce. His jaw drops stunned as the colony of bats swarm over him. He stumbles, protecting his face. The torch drops to the floor. Its shaft of light dances crazily around the cavern. From off screen, a low moan is heard from Bruce. It rises, gathers in volume and intensity, gradually becoming a deep, booming, guttural roar. At once a scream of total pain and a cry of defiance. The terrified bats scream back in a maze of hot and cold light bouncing off beating black wings. Interior Alfred's bedroom, night. The wind and rain batter against Alfred's partially open bedroom window. Mixed with the sounds, a strong echo of the roar from the cavern. Alfred's eyes pop open. He rises groggily, makes his way to the window, closes it. Camera holds on window, pans up to the moon. Dissolve through to exterior cemetery, close on moon, night. A flashing lightning bolt. Camera pans down from the moon through the raging storm to the graves of Thomas and Martha Wayne in the country cemetery high on the hill. Kneeling between them is Bruce. Fists clenched, head bowed, tiny rivulets of water running off his face and body, totally lost in silent prayer.
I've worked hard to make you proud of me, but to become the kind of person whose presence could make a difference in the world. But one man can only do so much, Father. Mother, tonight I saw a sign I thought I never would come. Now for the first time, I realize I must be more than a man.
A flashing lightning bolt wipes the screen. Interior Gotham subway station, night. An express train roars through a seedy subway station. Interior subway car, night. A well-scrubbed teenage couple sit together holding hands. The boy is dressed in a dinner jacket, the girl in a chiffon party dress with a prominent orchid corsage pinned to it. They exchange a nervous glance, looking across the car at a tough-looking thug who sits opposite them. He grins across at the nervous teenagers menacingly, exposing yellow teeth, then sneaks a sideways look at a thickly built truck driver type who stares straight ahead. The subway slows for the next stop. The truck driver type rises disinterestedly, crosses the car, looks down at the teenagers who are none too happy with his departure.
Have a nice time at the prom, kids.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
The subway doors hiss open. The truck driver type smiles and exits. The teenagers look across the car, worried. The car pulls out of the station. The thug rises, crosses the car, grabs hold of a vertical pole to steady himself, smirks down at the teenagers.
It's sweetheart.
I'm sorry, did you just call me sweetheart? If you've got something to say, mister, will you talk to me? So I can hear it, okay?
I was talking to you, sweetheart.
Dumbass. Of course it is.
The knife drops out of the thug's sleeve, its sharp blade glinting in the light. The teenagers freeze.
Maybe it's that flower that smells so good.
The thug plucks the corsage off the trembling girl's bodice, holds it up to his nose, inhales deeply, shaking his head.
Nope. Still can't place it.
Bonnie, I can smell you from way over here.
The thug wheels, stares off at the end of the car, his jaw dropping open. The teenager's eyes bulge in disbelief. Close on chest, a golden circle with the black figure of a bat sits in the middle of a steely gray skin-tight fabric stretched across a massively muscled chest.
Give the lady back her flower.
Back to scene. The thug looks his unseen adversary up and down cautiously, unsure of whether to laugh or obey.
Okay, sure. Just want to have a little fun.
With a sudden lightning move, he flips the switchblade in his hand, sending it whizzing in the direction of the voice, close on knife. The knife whistles through the air towards camera. Suddenly, a black-gloved hand miraculously snatches it out of midair, spinning it and sends it flying back. The switchblade pierces the corsage, jerking it out of the thug's hand, sticking it into the wall where it quivers behind him. The thug freezes, turning white.
Now then, I think you said you wanted to have a little fun.
Exterior Gotham subway station, night. The express wheezes to a stop at the next station. A middle-aged couple waits for the doors to open, then enter the car. They suddenly stop, staring in amazement. The thug stands spread-eagled in the middle of the car, both wrists cupped to overhanging metal handholds. The center vertical pole disappears up one pants leg, finally reappearing out of the collar of his shirt. The teenage boy passes the amazed couple, confidently dusting off his hands. He reaches back for the girl, who sniffs her corsage, then follows him out of the car. Exterior police headquarters, night. Gotham Police Headquarters. Camera tracks past cubicles and offices, clacking, ringing, detectives interrogating suspects, etc. Catching up with David Gordon, the commissioner of police, a gruff-looking man in his middle 50s who pauses to light a cheap cigarette. Heading towards him from the other direction, Sergeant Haley, a smooth-faced kiss-ass in his 30s.
Oh, what's up, Haley?
Pretty slow, Commissioner. Half a dozen muggings, some kids on PCP, and oh yeah. Looks like we got a transvestite prowling the South Side subway system. It's just my drag queen friend, it's Ritzy Bits, it's fine.
Full moon tonight. What happened?
Gordon walks through his office door, Haley following. Interior Gordon's office, night. The extremely cluttered office of an immensely overworked civil servant.
From his description, this guy could make it in a flow in the Rose Parade. Big black cape, black boots, black hood over his head.
A squawk box intercom crackles on Gordon's desk.
With the mustache, I just looked.
I can't hear the intercom.
Hostage situation, Commissioner. Man holding 2 women near 3rd and Grand. SWAT's on the way.
And get this, a big yellow moon on his chest with a cockamamie bat in the middle.
Get my car. I'm going down there.
Funny thing is, the guy takes on this big goon with a knife.
You come along too, Haley. I might need to swap someone for those women.
What?
Exterior downtown alley and street night. Police cars barricade a major avenue, their spotlights trained on a dead-end alley. A SWAT lieutenant speaks through a mic.
Come on out there, Wells. Come out or we're coming in after you.
I got hostages. You get one more minute to clear out or I blow them away.
From behind, Commissioner Gordon's car screeches to a stop. Gordon piles out, followed by Haley.
How bad is it, Lieutenant?
We're screwed, sir. That's a dead-end alley in there. No way to get behind him. Nope.
Exterior dead-end alley. A pockmarked thug, Wells, holds one young woman roughly, trains his gun on another. He squints out into the light.
30 seconds, pig. Then I spill one lady's brains on the street. 25.
Camera pans down to the pavement behind Wells.
20.
A manhole cover rises, moves aside silently.
15.
Back to Wells.
10.
No, please.
Wells cocks the gun, sticks it at her head.
5. 4.
I think that's Batman.
Batman's always late to his.
3, 2, 1.
Wells spins in astonishment. An ominous hulking shadow looms in the darkness behind him. Two pulsating yellow eyes pierce through the blackness.
I just counted it out, Wells.
Wells fires. The shadow swings the manhole cover up as the bullet ricochets off it harmlessly. Wells prepares to fire again. The manhole cover suddenly explodes out of the darkness. One swing of a massively muscled arm, one sickening clang, and it's over. Angle on street.
Let's go.
The police rush towards the alley. Gordon and Haley bringing up the rear as the two women emerge.
He wanted to save us. A giant black monster from the sewers. He had black wings. 8 feet tall and yellow eyes.
Well, of course he did. You can both calm down now, ladies. The nightmare's over.
Huge arms and thick black gloves.
With a bright yellow moon on his chest?
That's right.
Ah, and a black bat flying right in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The horny women are led away by paramedics. Haley cocks his head questioningly at Gordon as they proceed into the alley.
Get it. That area of the subway could never have been to the north side of town.
Maybe there's more than one of them. Maybe we're dealing with some sort of a secret society of cross-dressers. Oh, it's my friends. It's fine. Drag queens. It's fine. It's fine.
Wells is led past them, still groggy, as they arrive at the open manhole and peer down into the forbidding blackness.
Get after him, Haley.
Me, sir?
Well, we only want an accurate description.
Haley reluctantly lowers himself into the open manhole as Gordon turns and yells down the alleyway.
Comb the area. I want every squad car available. We're looking for the number of all psychos in a party car.
Gordon turns back, looks down into the empty manhole where Haley has now disappeared.
Sir, you don't think he bites now, do you, sir?
Exterior Gotham apartment house, high shot night. Camera looks down from the roof of a Gotham skyscraper at the windows of a 40-story apartment house below. Camera holds on a pair of glass doors leading out to a Rosetta-covered stone balcony. Clearly visible through the doors, an elderly couple lie face down on the floor of their living room, guarded by a masked burglar holding a shotgun. Another burglar has managed to open a wall safe and begins stuffing valuables into a gunny sack. Camera zooms back. We are some 30 stories higher across a wide avenue. A black-gloved hand enters frame, holding a thin, clear nylon cord with a tiny barbed fishhook on the end. The other gloved hand steadies a gleaming titanium rifle barrel with an infrared scope. The fishhook is threaded through the chamber. The flap is opened in a thick, compartmentalized black belt. The moonlight glints off a cylindrical silver gas cartridge. Angle across street through scope. Seen through the magnified infrared scope. The crosshairs of the rifle sight settled in on the head of the burglar holding the shotgun. The crosshairs pause, then suddenly lower to the balcony. The rifle fires with an audible hiss of compressed gas. Angle on Rosetta balcony. As the fishhook whistles through a hole in the Rosetta stone framework of the balcony. On impact with the floor, it pops open, expanding to 10 times its size, having now become an effective grappling hook. Interior apartment, night. The burglar with the shotgun turns with the muffled metallic noise, looks through the glass doors of the empty balcony. Exterior balcony floor. The grappling hook inches across the balcony floor, catching a firm hold against the stone. Exterior skyscraper roof. The nylon cord has been pulled taut. It disappears down into the blackness at a dizzying height, some 400 feet above the avenue and crisscrossing traffic lights below. Black gloved hands take hold of the cord, testing it. Exterior sky. An ominous black shadow, Kate billowing out behind in an eerie silhouette, passes in front of the glowing yellow ball of the full moon. Angled down, corded balcony. The balcony and double glass doors whistle up at camera at a dizzying speed, growing larger by the millisecond. Interior apartment. The burglar has finished his work at the safe. He nods to the other burglar who grins, then cocks his shotgun, pointing it down at the helpless couple on the floor. The flicker of an outside shadow flits across the room. The burglar blinks, wheels with his shotgun. Suddenly, the double doors explode with a hail of shattering glass. Almost simultaneously, the shotgun fires. Interior Gordon's car. A surly Gordon looks over at his intercom as his intercom crackles.
Commissioner, this is Sergeant Havemayer. I'm on 40th floor of the Gotham Arms. Our boy struck again. Cape, boots, hood, the whole drill.
When?
Just now, doing a trip to silent alarm. We responded and heard a gunshot as we were running down the hallway. The victims are fine. Son of a bitch cold-cocked both perpetrators.
Attaboy, Havemayer. Hold him for questioning until I get there.
Can't do that, sir. He's already left.
But you were right outside the door.
He left by the window, sir.
By the window? God damn it, man. You're on the 40th floor.
That's affirmative, sir.
You get back to headquarters pronto, mister. I want your urine check for drugs. I want your urine check for drugs. What is this?
Gordon slams down the intercom in disgust.
Maybe it's something in the water. This whole city's on drugs. Get that right.
Maybe. Exterior Gotham streets, night. Police sirens everywhere. A squad car rolls slowly down the street, its spotlight searching the doorways and alleys. Interior squad car. The cop driver yawns, turns to his partner who works the spotlight. Suddenly a whistling sound through the air. The two cops snap their heads forward as the searchlight reveals. Angle on Batman, their POV. The Batman! Seen in his majestic totality for the very first time. A truly awesome figure, from his black cowl to his gleaming black boots. His huge dark cape billows out ominously behind him. Back to squad car.
Trucker Batman! Oh, that was driving the car! Oh, fucking holy shit! Let's get him! Holy shit, Cher.
Back to the scene. The squad car lurches forward. Batman whirls, runs down an alley. The squad car swings, pulls in after him. Interior alley. Batman runs with the speed of an Olympic sprinter, but the squad car gains rapidly. He looks over his shoulder. Angle on squad car, his POV. The squad car fills the alleyway. Back to Batman. He looks in front of him in horror. Another squad car speeds at him from the other direction. It too fills the alleyway. There's no place to hide. Angle on squad car number 1. Filling frame, the cops grinning. Angle on squad car number 2. Filling frame, the cops grinning. Back to Batman. He stands his ground, then curiously runs directly at the first squad car. Angle through windshield, squad car number 1.
What the?
Back to Batman, slow motion shot. With a perfectly timed leap, Batman vaults onto the hood of the car in a somersault and does a complete 360 up the windshield, over the roof, off the trunk, lands on the pavement with the grace of a cat or a bat. Angle on 2 police cars. They crash head-on with a sickening sound of crunching metal and flying glass. 2 groggy police exit. Front doors falling off. Try to clear their heads. Exterior downtown street. Later. 2 policemen walk side by side, training their flashlights against the sides of buildings. They move off down the street. Camera holds on an open, sunken window protected by a grating which has been partially pulled back. We hear a toilet flush. Interior CD bar. The door to the men's room opens. An aging sailor appears in a tattered pea jacket. In spite of the spreading bald spot on his head and the pepper gray mustache, this is Bruce Wayne? He swings a full duffel bag over his shoulder. Angle on bar. Bruce takes a seat at the smoky bar wedged in between two criminal types.
What'll it be, champ?
That surprised me.
The criminal types converse across from him. Me, I'd love to go a few rounds with that mashed fruitcake.
I ain't so sure. Was the double tough. Wells was double tough. I've had a little drink. I'm sorry.
The way I heard it, he sneaked up behind Wells and got in a lucky punch.
No shit.
Guess you had to been there.
Bruce's drink arrives. He looks up and suddenly freezes. Angle across the room, his POV. Now rising, heading past the bar, it's Joe Chill, 20 years older than when last seen, his face heavily lined, but it's him. Back to Bruce, stunned, his jaw twitches. Chill passes him, heads for the door. Bruce lowers his face, speaks softly.
Hello, Joe.
Chill stops, turns, but no one seems to be speaking to or looking at him. He shrugs, then exits the bar. Exterior street and seedy hotel. Chill walks down a semi-deserted street, enters a cheap hotel. Camera holds. Bruce appears from around the corner, hurries to the hotel entrance, looks through its dirty window. Angle through window, Bruce's POV. Chill crosses the small, decrepit lobby, enters an ancient elevator. It starts up. Back to Bruce's street. Bruce backs out into the street, thinking. He looks up. Angle on hotel facade, his POV. A light is turned on in a room on the 8th floor. Chill can now be seen closing his open window. Interior Chill's room. Chill crosses to a table by his bed, takes off his windbreaker, revealing a revolver and a shoulder holster. He unharnesses himself, places the gun on the table. Starting to unbutton his shirt, he enters a filthy bathroom, closes the door. Interior bathroom. Chill crosses to a cracked bathroom mirror, smiling crookedly into it, revealing yellow teeth. He reaches for a bottle of mouthwash, starts to gargle. Interior bedroom. Camera close on the bathroom door. We hear Chill gargle. Suddenly, the light goes out. The room is pitched into black. The gargling stops. Chill opens the bathroom door, hesitating uncertainly for a moment as he faces the dark room. A sudden gust of wind makes him shiver. Angle on window, his POV. The window is open. The bitter cold wind whistles through. Muttering curiously, he starts to cross the room.
I thought I closed that thing.
Chill stops dead in his tracks, eyes suddenly widening. Angle on corner, his POV. A massive black figure is crouched in the corner. Two horrendous yellow eyes pulsate through the darkness.
It's been a long time, Joe. But now, at last, I come for you.
Huh. Joe? Hey, listen, whoever you are.
Chill tries to turn on the light, groping with his hand. The bulb is missing.
You got the wrong guy, okay?
Chill grabs the gun on the table, aims, pulls the trigger. Nothing happens. He tries again. A metal object suddenly lands on the floor at his feet. Chill looks down.
Try replacing the firing pin. You think you have time?
Batman rises menacingly, backlit by the moonlight. The piercing yellow eyes continue to pulsate. Chill backs up petrified, his hand inadvertently sliding up to cover his heart.
Hey, listen. I got a bad ticker, okay? There's a sawbuck and change on the table, so I
Want to tell you a story, Joe? About two people killed 20 years ago. Dr. Thomas Wayne, his wife, Martha.
Wayne?
They were living in a theater with their son, Bruce, remember? He was supposed to look like some random mugging. She made one big mistake. Called him Thomas Wayne, Doctor. Something you couldn't possibly have known if someone told you.
Chill's eyes flash nervously. His hand presses against his heart more tightly as he fakes a grin.
Someone else, huh? Like who?
Like the person who hired you. The man would kill you if you told me who he is. Unless I get to it first.
Chill has run out of space, presses back against the wall. He cowers in front of Batman, who is now only inches away.
Hey, one last time. I don't know about Dr. Wayne, okay? I mean, Mr. Matter of fact, I mean, I don't know you either, so,
Yes, you do, Joe.
Batman reaches up slowly, pulls back his cowl, close on Bruce's face, eyes flashing hatred. The same look young Bruce leveled at Chill more than 20 years earlier. Chill stares back, a hand clutching his pounding heart.
Stop looking at me like that! Stop!
Bruce's jaw twitches with rage. Fury shoots from his eyes. Blood pounds through the veins in Chill's forehead as he suddenly realizes.
Oh my god! You!
A violent shudder racks Chill's body. He stiffens for a moment, then crumples to the floor, dead. Bruce stares down at Chill, then kneels, checks his pulse. He turns away, his face betraying sadness and defeat. Exterior Wayne Manor, dawn. The first orange rays of the morning sun stab upwards through the clouds over Wayne Manor. Interior young Bruce's lab, day. Young Bruce's lab room remains much as we remember it, except that the gaping hole in the wall caused by the laser has been reinforced and shaped into a doorway. A ladder-like stairway leads down into the cavern below. Footsteps are heard climbing the ladder from deep within the cave. After a moment, Bruce appears, stripped to the waist, still wearing his utility belt and the bottom half of his Batman suit. His chest and stomach are nicked with small cuts and bruises. His forehead glistens with sweat born of utter exhaustion. He sits heavily on a cot, buries his face in his hands, looks up suddenly as the door to the lab opens. Alfred enters, stares silently, appalled by Bruce's physical condition. Bruce stares back.
I saw Joe Chill tonight.
Alfred's eyes widen, stunned.
I talked to him. I stared into the face I thought I'd never see again. And when I knelt over his dead body.
Sir, you didn't.
No. God help me, maybe I could have. I'll never know. The man I thought had already taken everything away didn't even leave me the choice.
Then tonight was the beginning. And the end of it?
It's not about me anymore. That's what I realized looking down at him. This is what I have to do, Alfred. After all these years of searching, this was always what I had to do. You're thinking I'm crazy, don't you? Certifiably insane.
A bit. Eccentric in your methods, perhaps. If I may be permitted, sir. I've never had any children of my own. Never saw the advantage in it, considering my profession. I've always thought myself more talented at raising flowers than people, but...
Bruce looks up with a warm smile of gratitude.
Oh, I didn't raise you, sir. I simply watched you grow.
Insert shot, Gotham Tribune. A banner edition of the Gotham Tribune cartwheels into frame. On the front page, fanciful artists' renditions drawn from eyewitness recollections of the Batman. One is of a menacing black vampire with long pointed fangs. Another shows a dark, furry giant with huge feathered wings. Above them, the headline, Batman invades city. Mass hysteria grips Gotham. Police no match for winged intruder. Camera holds on the newspaper as we hear the jumbled and excited voices of reporters underneath.
Commissioner, how do you explain this fantastic phenomenon?
I can't explain it. I only hope the poor fellow's sobered up by now.
Exterior Gotham Country Club day. Bruce lies on a deck chair by the swimming pool of the Gotham Country Club, his body coated with sun oil. He listens to Gordon's TV press conference on a tiny transistor set next to him. His eyes flutter open with amusement, then suddenly bulge wider. He gazes across the swimming pool, transfixed by what he sees. Angle on silver, Bruce's POV. A stunning-looking woman, Silver St. Cloud, steps out onto the high board of the pool, dressed in a daringly cut, shiny white latex tank suit. A shining mane of glistening silver hair cascades down across her shoulders. She pauses, a shimmering white diamond in the sun.
Commissioner, it might surprise you to know that several polls taken today show more than 80% of those interviewed approve of this vigilante and what he did.
Silver glances over in Bruce's direction. Curiously enough, she seems to smile at him and wave.
Well, I can't account for public taste. I'd like to warn any potential copycats who may be out there that.
Back to Bruce. Bruce is stunned and confused, but starts to lift his hand to wave back when
If brains were bodies, she'd look just the same. Can you believe it?
Bruce swivels, lowering his hand. Thorne stands behind him, waves back at Silver, who executes a complicated but perfect dive into the pool. She starts to swim across in their direction as Thorne grins down at Bruce.
Named Silver St. Cloud. Pi Beta Kappa, master's degree in political science. Just arrived in Gotham to finish her doctorate on municipal government, and guess which city councilman drew her as an intern?
Not her much so far.
Not as much as I planned to.
Silver reaches the edge of the pool. Thorne starts to help her out as Bruce continues to stare.
Water's glorious, Rupert. Come in.
Never had the time to learn how to swim. Too busy trying to make a living, I guess. Not like Mr. Wayne over here. Right, Bruce? Silver St. Cloud, Bruce Wayne.
Bruce looks up, totally mesmerized by the sight of her. She gazes down with a devastating smile, the sun sparkling off the beads of water on her face. She is instantly and equally smitten as they lock eyes.
Please don't get up.
Hmm?
I said, please don't get up.
Sorry.
It's all right. I asked you not to, remember?
So you did. Thanks.
Don't mention it.
Rupert watches them watching each other. The uncomfortable silence is filled by Gordon's voice from the telephone.
If there are no other questions, it's my birthday tonight, and I have a formal party to get ready for.
Thorne reaches down, turns off the TV in disgust.
That clown has been a disgrace to law enforcement his entire career. This city's going to hell in a handbasket, and some imbecile's giving him a formal birthday party.
I'm giving it. Should be fun.
Thorne raises his eyebrows. Silver still stares.
Perhaps the two of you would like to come.
I'm busy.
I'd love
Thanks.
to.
Silver, I don't think
If I'm not being too inquisitive, Mr. Wayne, exactly what is it that you do
You?
for a living?
you're looking at it.
Actually, Rupert's not being entirely fair about this. Sometimes I go hang gliding.
And that's it?
No, not quite.
I didn't think so.
I have a dog as well.
Silver manages a tiny, unsure smile.
Wayne Manor, 8 o'clock. I have my car pick you up.
Why don't you take my car, Silver, in case you want to leave early?
I'm very flattered by the dueling limos, gentlemen, but I can grab a cab. Thanks, Mr. Wayne.
Silver excuses himself or herself. They watch her departure avidly.
Gotham City's no place for a beautiful woman to be traveling alone. I'm holding you personally responsible for safety, Wayne.
Don't worry, Rupert. I'll treat her just as if I were in love with her instead of you.
Exterior Wayne Manor, night. Dozens of expensive cars disgorge their passengers in front of stately Wayne Manor. Interior Wayne Manor living room. A lavish party is in progress. A dance band plays off to the side under a banner reading, "Happy birthday to the finest of Gotham's finest." Bruce Wayne greets his arriving guests, his neck craning around in vain for a sight of Silver. Gordon stands by the bar, downs a double scotch, scowls at a guest who talks animatedly to him while flapping his arms like wings, doing a crude imitation of the Batman. The guest howls with laughter, moves off as Gordon orders another drink, and Bruce joins him with a sympathetic smile.
They're giving you a pretty hard time about the Batman, aren't they?
I give up half my pension to be standing face to face with that kid Cohen right now. There's a sight to make an old man's eyes water.
Silver St. Cloud approaches them, threading her way through the appreciative glances of the guests, dressed in a sparkling metallic evening gown, the lights bouncing off it like tiny bursts of shooting stars. She reaches Bruce, extends her hand with a warm smile.
I hope I'm not too late.
In my case, by 20 years.
Silver, St. Cloud, this is David Gordon, Commissioner of the Police. Miss St. Cloud is picking up the finer points of the city government from his Councilman Thorne.
My ambition is to hold a job as important as yours one day, Commissioner.
Oh, sorry. Then you and Mr. Thorne already have much in common.
Would you care to dance, Mr. Wayne?
You're as
Clairvoyant, sir?
exactly as you are beautiful, Miss St. Cloud.
Smooth, Bruce. Exterior Wayne Manor night. Now heading into the driveway is a brightly painted version of an old-time 20s paddy wagon with two lookalikes of the old Keystone Kops riding on top. They honk a comical horn loudly as laughing parking attendants greet them. Interior Wayne Manor, ankle on dance floor. Bruce and Silver glide smoothly across the floor, a perfect fit. Bruce looks down curiously.
Something wrong?
You're bleeding.
Bruce? Well, I asked you, remember?
Alfred arrives, interrupting them.
Excuse me, sir, but there are some oddly dressed gentlemen outside with a singing telegram for the commissioner.
Well, ask them to come in, will you, Alfred?
Bruce makes his way to the bandstand, whispers some instructions to the band leader. A loud fanfare is played. All conversation stops as the front door opens. Now entering Wayne Manor, the two Keystone Kops in their 20s costumes with handlebar mustaches. They dance their way to the center of the room in a prearranged routine, singing in harmony from Pirates of Penzance.
When a fellow is not engaged in his employment or murdering his felonious little plans, his capacity for innocent enjoyment is the greatest of any honest man's, or policeman's lot is not a happy one.
The guests applaud loudly. Gordon joins Bruce and Silver as the cops break into a vaudeville routine.
Excuse me, sir. Have you seen a policeman around here?
Why, no, I haven't.
Good. Then give me your watch.
Ha! Several guests laugh. Bruce winces at the bad joke.
But this watch isn't worth anything. It only has sentimental value.
Well, give it to me anyway. I feel like a good cry.
Gordon laughs loudly as the cop turns to him.
Now, Commissioner, if we can borrow your watch for a moment. Sure. But be careful with it. Okay.
The cop smiles, takes the watch, dangles it from his hand. Cop number 2 silently sidles in behind Bruce and Silver.
Here's a good one. What's a policeman's favorite way to kill time? I'll bite. What is a policeman's favorite way to kill time?
The cop grins, pulls his gun, fires. Gordon's watch is smashed to smithereens. Cop number 2's gun is suddenly at the back of Silver's head, hammer cocked.
Up against the wall, everybody. Move!
The guests scream as 6 more cops burst through the front door carrying automatic weapons. Bruce, Silver, and Gordon are herded back against the wall with the others. The cop grins and suddenly starts to giggle insanely. He takes off his helmet as a shock of green hair is exposed. He wipes his lips clean, which now become ruby red. Cackling in glee, the Joker faces his victims, his gaze suddenly becoming cruel and cold.
One at a time, your money and your jewels, and no one's head will wind up looking like the commissioner's watch. Capiche?
Hey, boss! Look!
The Joker turns. Cop number 3 and a partner have set Gordon's huge birthday cake on the floor, now wade through it, stomping up and down, kicking the insides across the room.
We're doing the cakewalk!
The Joker giggles, then shoots a satanically maniacal look at the guests, who instantly begin stripping off their jewelry, taking out wallets, etc., as more cops pass by with a gunny sack. The Joker walks down the line, stopping to level a searching and curious gaze into the eyes of Bruce Wayne. Between Gordon and Silver, his face set, eyes steely, staring at the Joker. His jaw twitches. Silver watches him, noticing the twitch. She gives him a tiny, sympathetic smile, then turns to face cop number 2, who has moved down the line to Silver. He looks her up and down hungrily as she stares back in defiance. His fingers slowly reach up to grip her necklace, then linger.
Your case, lady. I'd like to rip the rest off and leave this on.
Suddenly, Bruce's fist flashes into frame. Cop number 2 is knocked backward through the air as another cop lunges at Bruce, who grabs the gunny sack filled with jewelry and bashes him in the face. The cop crumples to the floor as Bruce wheels to face the Joker and sees the Joker, grinning cruelly, the barrel of his gun pressing up under Silver's chin. Her eyes are welded shut with fear.
Now that was extremely bad manners, Mr. Wayne. Especially from someone to the manor born. Why don't you rejoin the lady here? Or if you like, I can send part of her over to you.
Bruce hesitates, then rejoins the line. The Joker lowers his gun, turns to stare at a painting on the wall as a cop holds out the open gunny sack to Gordon.
I'll see you rot in the gas chamber for this.
The Joker smiles, looking at the painting. He removes it from the wall, punching the canvas out of its frame. Close on Bruce and Silver, Bruce stares silently. His jaw twitches with anger born of humiliation. Silver notices again. What's that, Silver?
I said look on the bright side. You're adorable when your jaw twitches.
The Joker crosses to Gordon with the empty picture frame. Another cop points a camera as the Joker holds the frame up to encircle his and Gordon's face.
I've always wanted to frame a police commissioner.
Close on Joker's and Gordon's faces. Gordon shuts his eyes in disgrace. The Joker howls at A flashbulb strobe wipes the screen. Exterior Wayne Manor night. The cops exit Wayne Manor with their loot, climb back into the paddy wagon, and roar out of the driveway. Interior Wayne Manor. The terrified and disgruntled guests head for the door as Bruce and Silver look over at a devastated Gordon.
I'm afraid the tabloids are going to have a field day with this. David? Not to mention Rupert Thorne.
I tried calling the police. The phone line seemed to have been cut.
I'll report myself, Alfred, right before I cut my throat.
Oh, Jim, come on, or David. He tries to check his watch, stares at an empty wrist, sighs, then joins the stream of departing guests as Bruce looks over at Silver glumly.
Well, good night, I guess.
Don't be silly. Only just arrived.
Would you care to dance this sync cloud?
You're as clairvoyant as you are gallant, Mr. Wayne.
Exterior Gotham Police Headquarters night. A crestfallen Gordon exits his car. Interior Police Headquarters. Gordon walks slowly and dejectedly down the nearly deserted hallway. As he passes one detective's cubicle, the sound of snickering is heard from inside. Gordon stops defiantly. The snickering instantly dies away. Muttering disgustedly, Gordon enters his office. Interior his office. The office is lit only by a small desk lamp. Strung up behind the desk is a crudely made banner reading, "Happy birthday to our commish from all your boys in blue." Gordon shakes his head sadly, crosses to a cabinet, pours himself an enormous glass of scotch, then crosses with the bottle to the open office window. He takes a long swig, exhales, then slams the window shut. Exterior Wayne Manor. The Wayne Manor driveway is deserted under the moonlight. Interior Wayne Manor. The band plays a soft, dreamy number as Bruce and Silver dance together dreamily, locked in each other's arms, drifting silently through the vast living room. Closer on them. Silver's eyes flutter open, then will look into his.
Maybe you better take me home.
I am home?
Oh, God, that was bad. You see, I don't do anything on the first dates.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing just fine.
Exterior, Silver's apartment house. Bruce's Aston Martin is parked in front of an unassuming apartment house in middle-class Gotham. Interior Silver's apartment house. Bruce escorts Silver down the modest, clean hallway.
Thank you for a totally unexpected evening, Bruce. I like surprises.
She stops at a door, inserts her key, turns, smiles.
Including you.
Oh, how did Rupert Thorne describe me?
As a rather ineffectual playboy, but pleasant enough in a harmless sort of way.
Bruce takes her head gently and stares deeply into her eyes.
And you? How would you describe me?
I don't think you're harmless. And I don't think anyone who's looked straight in your eyes could say so.
Bruce's jaw twitches involuntarily. Silver grins. He leans in, kisses her lingeringly on the mouth. They break. He gazes into her disoriented eyes.
Frightened?
Terrified. Don't worry. As a kid, they always had to drag me off the roller coaster.
She turns the key, slips through the door, closing it again. Bruce sighs, slumps back heavily against the wall, realizing a dilemma he may never be able to solve. Exterior Gotham skyline, night. The yellow moon glows brightly over Gotham City. Interior Gordon's office. Gordon is slumped over his desk, mumbling to himself. The bottle of scotch next to him has been emptied. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind ruffles his hair. His eyes flutter, then look over at the open office window. He staggers over to the window to close it, looks out sadly.
Whatever you do, don't jump.
Gordon whirls. Batman looms up from a dark corner.
You've been at odds, Commissioner. And it's Gotham's loss. My fight isn't with you. It is with the diseased scum infesting the city.
Gordon backs up towards his desk, smiles nervously.
Of course it is.
The criminals are a cowardly lot at heart. But human garbage like the Joker is taking over Gotham in spite of everything that you and other men of goodwill can do about it.
Don't you preach law and order to me.
People need a symbol. Someone to rally around. Someone who's isn't hamstrung by the very laws he's sworn to uphold. They have a right to justice.
That I happen to agree with. That's why you're under arrest.
Gordon levels the gun. They're frozen for a moment. Batman advances slowly. He speaks in measured tones, eyes clear, voice almost hypnotic.
You won't pull that trigger because you realize that I'm your last chance. You're fighting a war you've already lost, and you know it.
Batman stands inches away from the gun barrel now. Gordon peers deeply into his eyes through the cowl. A black cape swirls around the side of a girder. Malone panics, squeezes the trigger, rapid fire, then silence.
Floors and bullets.
Now stepping onto the girder from the blackness, the Batman. His huge black cape billows out ominously. Angle on Gordon. Gordon, Haley, and a mob of reporters watch tensely from below where a gang of handcuffed crooks is being let off by the police. Back to girders. Malone inches back on the uppermost girder, which juts out over the river. He clicks his gun, empty, throws it at the Batman, missing. The Batman advances coldly.
They say you've cornered a rat can be dangerous. You don't look so tough.
As Batman advances suddenly, his foot slips. He tumbles over the side of the girder, hangs on, his fingers jammed into the rivet holes. Angle down below. An audible gasp from the assembled audience. Back to Batman. Straining to hold on, his fingers almost coming out of their sockets. He looks down. The network of girders dissolves dizzyingly into black. Malone starts forward, grinning broadly.
Here, let me give you a hand.
Malone claps loudly. Batman winces and hangs on.
Now, a foot. Ugh.
Malone brings one shoe down hard on Batman's hand, grinds it in, then the other foot on the remaining hand. Batman grimaces in unbelievable pain. Suddenly, Batman swings his legs back. He bursts forward again in an arc, propelling his feet under the girder and up again around the other side. His boots crash into the back of Malone's legs, launching him out into space with an agonizing scream. Batman stands on the girder looking down. He gives a tiny salute, then dives out into the night. Sailing down through the blackness for more than 100 feet, he hits the river with an enormous splash, then disappears. Back to Gordon. Gordon watches stunned as a reporter comes up.
Incredible. Who is he, Commissioner? Can you let us in on it?
I like to, but I'm afraid that information is classified.
The reporter walks off, muttering angrily. Haley looks sideways at Gordon in disbelief.
God damn it, Haley. Do I have to tell you every little thing?
Interior Rupert Thorne's office, day. Camera pans down from the Gotham City logo, truth, justice, integrity, to the face of Rupert Thorne, a cigar wedged between gritted teeth, watching a TV across the room.
Reporting live from Gotham Museum, where Batman has caught the penny plunders. Criminals are rapidly becoming an endangered species here in Gotham thanks to...
There is a knock. The door opens. Papers for Thorne. Pauses to look at the set.
Batman's something, isn't he? For once in our lives, a real honest-to-God hero.
Oh, he's some piece of work, all right.
Thorne papers. Glare from watch me now here.
But the credit really belongs to the citizens of the city and their elected officials who've bent over backwards.
Ah, then kiss my ass.
Exterior sky, night. The yellow bat signal explodes up into the night sky. Exterior Gotham Harbor. A dirty tramp steamer lies at anchor in Gotham Harbor. A captain whispers down to two Confederates in a dinghy below.
Is that me? I'm fire captain, but am I this captain?
You could tell the Joker has drugs are on their way. Now get the hell out of here. Weigh anchor!
Angle on side of ship. The huge anchor chain rumbles up the side of the ship's prow. Now emerging from under the water, the Batman. He rides the anchor chain up towards the deck. Interior Silver's apartment, night. Silver pedals away on an exercycle in her apartment, dressed in a nightie, avidly watching the late news.
The biggest drug bust in the history of Gotham City. Where will the Dark Avenger appear next? Who knows? Maybe everywhere.
My door is unlocked, you big hunk.
Exterior flaming building, night. A towering inferno engulfs a building in a poor section of town. Flames shoot out of the upper floors as a distraught mother pleads with the fireman.
My baby's still in there.
It's impossible, lady. I can't send my men into the tinder box. Look!
Angle on Batman, their POV. The Batman lands on top of the burning building. Hooking his nylon cord securely, he shields his face with his cape, then launches himself downwards, swinging straight through a window in a shower of glass and flames. After an agonizing moment, he reappears. He cradles a bawling baby in his arms, covers it with his cape, then quickly shimmies down into the street. Interior Joker's lair, day. The Joker paces angrily as the TV blares.
Here at Gotham Amusement Park, where, if you can believe it, the Batman has subdued a mechanical dinosaur, thus foiling the Joker's plot to...
Exterior sky, night. Once again, the glowing bat signal whips up into the night. Exterior rooftop. Two crooks run across a rooftop, carrying a bag of loot, heading for a helicopter which waits, blades whirring. They reach the chopper, look behind them as, angle on Batman, their POV. The Batman lands on the opposite side of the roof, some 20 yards away.
Sorry, Batman, gotta fly now.
The crooks pile into the helicopter, laughing loudly. It starts to take off, rising quickly. Back to Batman. His jaw twitches. He unhooks the batarang from the front of his utility belt. Note, this is a black bat-shaped boomerang attached to the nylon cord. The helicopter rises as the Batman hurls his batarang close on rotor shaft. The batarang whistles around the spinning rotor shaft that connects the helicopter bubble cockpit to the rear rotor blade. It hooks tight. Wider angle. The helicopter takes off into the night sky as the Batman is jerked free of the building top, now dangles in midair as the chopper continues over Gotham. Angle down on Batman. Suspended more than 1,000 feet in the air, looking up at the helicopter above him. Angle on rotor shaft. The rotor shaft spins, the batarang cord encircling it. The nylon cord wraps itself around the shaft as the Batman is now being pulled up like a fish on the line. Wider angle. As the Batman rises towards the chopper through the night sky. Interior helicopter. The pilot struggles with the controls. A crook looks over to his left. The night sky is clear. Now suddenly rising into view, the face of Batman, staring in coldly from outside the cockpit. Then we hear the sound of a tremendous ovation. Interior Gotham ballroom night. Hundreds of guests applaud heartily in a hotel ballroom. Gotham's mayor stands in front of a podium at the center of a dais, which includes Batman, Gordon, and Rupert Thorne.
And so, in giving him the keys to Gotham, I proclaim over Batman this city's Man of the Year. Year? Hell, the man of a lifetime.
A rousing ovation. Batman rises to join the mayor. Angle on Silver. Silver stands by one of the front tables, applauds heartily. Angle on Batman. Shaking hands with Gordon, then with an overly enthusiastic Rupert Thorne, who claps him on the back, Newt Rockney-like. Interior Joker's lair, night. A grim-faced Joker watches the festivities on television, slumped behind a Harlequin desk in his darkened lair.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me be brief.
The Joker lifts what looks like a remote control box, presses a button. The television explodes, wiping the screen. Interior Wayne living room, day. A ringing telephone. Alfred picks it up.
Wayne Manor. One moment, please. I'll see if he's free.
Alfred puts the phone down, crosses the vast living room, heading for a tall grandfather clock. He reaches behind it as we hear a switch click. Alfred now swivels the clock away from the wall, revealing an opening. Interior Batcave, day. As Alfred appears at the head of a long flight of stairs, the camera pans, we see the Batcave for the first time. The Gothic cavern walls are now spotless. The first section of the cave is filled with trophies, dominated by the huge mechanical Tyrannosaurus Rex. Next to it is the giant penny. Dozens of other trophies are arranged nearby. Camera pans. The next area of the cave is devoted to exercise, weights, Nautilus equipment, rings, even a trapeze. Camera pans. Another section features a myriad of state-of-the-art computers and a fully equipped crime lab.
Excuse me, sir.
An acetylene torch whines in reply. Camera pans past the crime lab. Bruce lies on his back under a partially constructed futuristic automobile. He trains his acetylene torch against one section as the sparks fly. Other sections of the car and odd electronic devices are strewn about the area. Bruce shuts off his torch, removes a faceplate, slides out from under the vehicle as Alfred comes down the steps to join him.
I'm sorry, Alfred, did you say something?
Miss Cloud is on the phone for you, sir.
Bruce gives a wistful frown, then a small sigh as he heads towards an imposing red telephone set into the wall, then picks up a smaller, normal extension nearby.
Silver, how are you?
Interior Silver's office, day. Silver leans back in a swivel chair behind a cluttered desk, her expression changing to one of studied nonchalance. Note, this conversation to be intercut as necessary.
Hi, Bruce. You busy?
Not particularly. You know me.
Not particularly. Listen, Bruce, the opening of the opera is it's a few weeks away yet, but I gather it's kind of a big deal here in Gotham. Got a couple tickets, and I wondered if your dance card was full that night.
Bruce pauses, troubled, wanting to go, but knowing he can't.
As a matter of fact, it is. Damn it! I'm sorry, Silver.
Hey, don't worry about it. How about another night? Another night, after the sun goes down.
Silver, look. It must seem very strange to you by not asking you out to dinner.
No, it doesn't seem strange.
It doesn't?
It merely seems rude, I guess. Thoughtless, actually.
Oh, then you're not hurt?
Hurts? Me? Hurts?
Hello?
Hurts? Just because we have this one wonderful night and I never hear from you again, just because I throw myself at you and get totally ignored, why should I be hurt?
That's very reasonable of.
Mad? That's what I should be. Angry, enraged, besides myself with loathing and contempt. But lucky for you, I'm bigger than that.
You seem to be taking it extremely well. Well, I agree.
Oh, because I happen to have been through analysis, Mr. Wayne. And so, no matter how callously you may have treated me, no matter how smug and self-satisfied you may sound, no matter how
Tirelessly I behaved.
I can handle it!
Silver slams down the phone in a rage. In dinner cuts, back to Batcave. Bruce gently replaces the phone. Alfred stares.
She called you childish?
Then she hung up. It's in an extremely mature move on her part.
Bruce walks off glumly toward the partially assembled vehicle at the other end of the cave, visibly affected by his previous conversation. Exterior Gotham City Hall, night. A taxi pulls up to the darkened City Hall. Silver exits, starts up the steps. Interior City Hall. Silver enters, crosses the lobby to the elevators. A guard looks up from his night desk. Just a minute, miss.
It's okay, Victor. It's, where's Victor?
Victor's sick tonight. What's your name?
St. Cloud. I'm on Councilman Thorne's staff. Just catching up on a little back work.
The doors are all locked up there, miss, and I'm not authorized to open. Silver dangles her key with a pleasant smile. Passes by him, enters the elevator. The doors close. The nervous guard picks up a house phone. There's a girl named St. Cloud on her way up. I tried to stop her. Interior elevator shaft, night. Camera looks down from the main gears of the elevator at a seemingly endless shaft of cables. The car carrying Silver rises quickly, jerks to a stop at one of the top floors. Interior City Hall corridor. Silver exits the elevator, starts down the corridor for her office door. She passes Thorne's office, then stops, hearing muffled voices from inside.
Rupert?
There's a sudden silence. Silver cocks her head curiously.
Rupert, it's Silver.
Silver opens the door, suddenly recoils aghast. Angle on Thorne, her POV. Thorne sits behind his desk, bound and gagged, tied to the chair. His eyes bulge in terror as Silver rushes in.
Rupert, what happened?
You like that gag?
Silver wheels to face the Joker behind her.
Well, here's an even better one.
A stream of clear liquid shoots out from a plastic flower on the Joker's coat lapel, drenching Silver's face as she recoils, stunned, then instantly drops to the floor. The Joker giggles as Thorne rises from behind his desk, the ropes dropping off him like spaghetti. He takes the gag out of his mouth, looks down at Silver, nervous and agitated.
I can't get her involved. This changes everything.
This changes nothing. In fact, it might even give that little black-caped creep an added incentive to walk into our trap.
How long before she wakes up?
Half an hour. Never, if you prefer.
I don't prefer. I'm warning you, Joker. Don't disappoint me.
Disappoint you?
Listen, Thorne, I've worked hard to make Gotham a place we could all be proud of. The kind of city where an ambitious young hood could come home after a hard day dealing drugs and sleep in peace at night. But all that was BB.
Before Batman.
Rimshot. So starting tomorrow after the Batman's funeral, you don't disappoint me. Understood?
Interior Batcave, night. Camera pans the cavernous Batcave. We hear the low, powerful whining grind of what seems to be turbine engines. It rises in pitch and intensity, growing richer and more deafening than a 747. The blasting sound is coming from behind a corner of the cave, its source unseen, but up against one wall in a cubicle niche, the red telephone pulsates with glowing light. Interior Wayne Manor hallway. Alfred walks down the hallway dressed for bed, stifles a yawn, notices something through the open study door. Angle on study door, his POV. The light coming from the study seems to pulsate as well, first dying, then rising, dying, then rising. Interior study. The pulsating light comes from a desk lamp. Alfred enters, crosses, presses a hidden button under the desk. A bottom drawer pops open, revealing a glowing red extension of the bat phone in the cave. Alfred shoves the drawer back, hurries out of the study. Interior living room. Alfred quickly crosses the living room, swivels the grandfather clock away from the wall. The sound of the engine whine becomes immediately audible. Alfred hurries through the opening in the wall. Exterior Gotham sky. Knifing up into the blackness over the skyline of Gotham City, the gleaming bat signal. Interior Thorne's office. Camera pans Thorne's office, which is now almost totally unrecognizable due to heaps of stolen merchandise piled high around the room. Jewels, furs, paintings, etc. A huge playing card with the grinning likeness of the Joker is propped up behind Thorne's desk under a banner reading Erebor. As camera pans.
It's unbelievable. The Joker, right here in my office. And this? What the hell is all this?
Camera holds on Thorne, who stands with Gordon near the desk. Next to them is Silver, conscious but still groggy. Gordon rummages through the goods with widening eyes.
These furs, part of the Vanderboot robbery more than 10 years ago, never recovered. This Renoir, stolen from the Gotham Museum.
Screw the Renoir. He could have killed her. He could have killed me, for Christ's sake.
Gordon continues to rummage, coming across a box of small candies wrapped in tinfoil.
What's this? Stolen kisses.
Gordon sighs, continues as Silver looks down at something near one of the furs.
What a beautiful necklace.
Insert shot, necklace. Protruding out from underneath one of the furs, the distinctive necklace worn by Martha Wayne on the night she died. Silver's fingers caress it, then let go. Back to scene. Rupert notices Silver's interest, looks down at the necklace as Gordon continues.
Look, here's my busted watch, and
He lifts up a slab of concrete with a white line painted through the middle of it.
highway robbery.
Close on Thorne. Silver watches Gordon as Thorne's hand quickly palms Martha Wayne's necklace, slipping it into his pocket. He turns quickly to Gordon, enraged.
Do you have to rub our noses in this crap? Let's get it out of here, starting with this.
He reaches up for the banner reading Erebor.
Whatever Erebor means.
Robbery spelled backwards.
They turn. Batman stands in the doorway, surveying the scene. He advances into the room as Silver watches him, fascinated.
Joker's intention was to humiliate us all. I'm afraid he's succeeding. There must be something he's intended. Some sort of twisted method to his madness. Catalog everything carefully, will you, Commissioner?
Catalog everything. Brilliant. Thank you, crime fighter for the 80s.
Batman's eyes flash with anger. Gordon intervenes quickly.
Calm down, Rupert. We got a long night ahead of us.
What's this wee crap?
Well, you're the only one who knows what was missing. I'll send for a squad car to drive you home, Miss Sinclair.
Silver nods to Gordon, then looks back into the dark, magnetically intimidating gaze of the Batman.
Perhaps the Batman would be kind enough to see me home.
Batman stares back at Silver with no apparent reaction. She smiles unsteadily, not sure of herself.
Not too far out of your way. That is.
Can't imagine such a place exists, Miss St. Cloud.
Silver blushes, then rises, offers Batman her arm.
Oh, brother.
Good night, Rupert.
Wait.
Batman leads Silver out the door. Thorne's face trembles with rage and frustration as Gordon looks over curiously.
Relax, Rupert. Who could she be safer with?
Camera pushes in on Thorne's troubled face. Interior hallway, night. Batman leads Silver to the elevator, presses the button.
We're taking the elevator?
Doesn't everybody?
Why did I have this feeling we'd be dropping out a window together or something exotic like that?
The elevator arrives. They enter. Interior top of elevator shaft. The main gears of the elevator shaft start to churn. Suddenly, the beam from a welding torch appears, rapidly cutting away at one of the cables. Camera pans. The Joker hangs suspended in the shaft, supported in midair by the whirling blades of a one-man helicopter hooked to the back of his belt. He trains the torch on the cable, looks down, chuckles contentedly. Suddenly, the cable snaps. Interior elevator. A jarring jolt. The elevator suddenly drops. Silver screams as she and Batman are momentarily pushed up into the air. Batman grabs onto a light fixture in the roof, bashes the ceiling escape hatch away. Angle on elevator, plummeting down the shaft. Back to Batman. He reaches into his utility belt, pulls out a nail-like piece of curved metal attached to nylon cord. It pops open into a large four-pronged fishhook.
Grab my belt. Hang on.
Angle and shaft. The hook flies out of the top of the sinking elevator, heading for the wall of the shaft. It grazes down the shaft wall, catches on one set of gears, which allow the doors to open on each individual floor. The nylon cord goes taut. Back to elevator. Silver hangs on as Batman hooks his arm around him. The two of them shoot upwards through the escape hatch. Angle on elevator, still plummeting. It hits the ground with an ear-splitting, sickening crash. Interior third floor hallway, night. A washerwoman standing by the elevator doors with her mop and pail presses the down button. It opens. Angle on Batman. Batman and Silver hang by the cord in the shaft, her arms locked around him in a death grip. She stares, goggle-eyed.
Next time, remind me to try the window.
Exterior street. Batman and Silver walk down a deserted street. She's a wreck. Trembling, ripped dress with streaks of cable grease on her face and hair.
I'm parked in the alleyway. Didn't want to attract attention.
Bit late for that, isn't it?
Suddenly, the roar of engines is heard from the sky. Batman and Silver's heads snap up. Angle on Joker's gang, their POV. 3 Joker Confederates whiz down at them through the night sky wearing jetpacks. Orange flames shoot out from behind their propelling rigs as they maneuver through the air, now heading into a synchronized power dive. Joker hovers above, still supported by his whirling one-man helicopter. A hail of machine gun bullets spews forth from guns mounted on top of their backs. The flyers close in on Batman and Silver like attacking fighter planes. Back to Batman and Silver. Batman dives behind a row of garbage cans, pushing a screaming Silver down in front of him as the fusillade ricochets off the cans and building walls. The flying formation zooms back up into the sky again, preparing to make another pass. Batman turns to a trembling Silver who is paralyzed with fear.
Stay here. It's me they want.
Don't leave me!
Batman turns and looks. She is a quaking mess.
Let's go.
Please, I've been a pretty cheap date so far.
He takes her hand as they run into the alleyway. Angle on sky. The Joker's group have reassembled in a formation and start another power dive. Interior alleyway. The screen is totally black. Suddenly, one glaring yellow headlight in the shape of an eye appears, then another. Angle on engines. Twin turbine engines fire up, their glowing red exhaust filling the screen. Angle on the street. The Batmobile screams from the alley out into the street. A sleek, powerful, futuristic panther of a car. Jet black, the domed interior. Interior Batmobile. The interior is a glistening, intricate maze of computers, screens, and complicated electrical systems. Silver's eyes are frozen open in astonishment. Batman looks over.
Please, don't touch anything.
Like the cigarette lighter?
Batman smiles, points it out. There is one. Angle on sky. The Joker and his 3 jetpack bandits zoom down at the car, their mounted machine guns blazing. Bandit number 1 powers forward, spewing bullets as he comes. Interior Batmobile. A succession of ricochet hits on the Batmobile roof, causes Silver to hunch over in terror. Angle on Batmobile. The bullets ricochet off the impregnable roof of the Batmobile, zinging back up into the air in the direction from which they came. Angle on Bandits. Their faces registering horror as several of their own bullets whiz by them, narrowly missing. They soar higher to avoid their own fire. Back to Batmobile. Speeding down an avenue along the side of the park. Interior Batmobile. Silver looks over hopefully.
I guess we frightened them off.
Batman shakes his head, flips another switch. A small radar screen lights up. 3 blinking light blips are still following him. Batman suddenly looks ahead, eyes widening. Another car heads directly at them, guns blazing.
Oh, I think I'll keep my mouth shut.
Angle on street. The hood car swerves off the street into the park. The Batmobile squeals into a 180 and roars after. Angle on Joker in sky. The Joker watches from the sky with satisfaction. Back to park entrance. As more of the Joker's gang wheel a barrier across the park entrance with a large sign on it reading, "Park closed tonight, just for fun." Back to Joker in midair. The Joker motions 2 bandits to fly off in another direction, then swivels in midair, points bandit number 3 down at the Batmobile.
The tires!
Bandit number 3 stares uncomprehendingly.
The round rubber things, you idiot! Go for the tires!
Bandit number 3 zooms off.
Oh, no wonder it takes him an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes.
Angle on Park Road. The Batmobile pursues the hood car through the park as bandit number 3 looms up from behind, guns blazing. Interior Batmobile. Batman looks over at a terrified Silver, reassuring.
How's the mileage on this, huh?
It doesn't use gasoline.
Of course not. How silly of me.
Angle on bandit number 3. Guns blazing down at the road behind the Batmobile. Angle on road. A stream of bullets advances inexorably towards the rear tires of the Batmobile. Interior Batmobile. Batman realizes what's happening and presses a button. Angle on rear of Batmobile. Steel casings drop down over the tires as the bullets make contact too late, ping off them harmlessly. Angle on bandit number 3, whizzing along through the air behind the Batmobile, registering his frustration. Interior Batmobile.
Do you know what the number 1 hazard is on American road these days?
Fog.
Tailgaters.
Angle on rear of Batmobile. The trunk of the Batmobile suddenly pops open. A giant horseshoe magnet swivels, pointing out behind the car. Angle on bandit number 3. Screaming wide-eyed as the force of the powerful magnet spins him in midair and he is sucked into the trunk by his jetpack. The trunk closes on him, slamming shut. Angle on Joker in the sky. The Joker looks down disgustedly, then lifts his gaze ahead and below into the park. Exterior park, angle on curve. A bandit watches near a curve in the park road as the hood car roars by. He gestures impatiently off into the darkness. Bandit number 2 settles in behind a nest of rocks, trains an automatic weapon back down the road. Back to Batmobile. Roaring through the park towards the camera. Interior Batmobile. Batman looks ahead, suddenly worried. Angle through windshield. 2 blazing headlights seem to be speeding directly at him, growing larger by the second. Back to Batmobile.
Hit the brakes! Hit the brakes!
Batman grimly steps on the accelerator. Angle on front bumper. Now emerging from the front of the Batmobile, a long black battering ram with a razor-sharp gleaming steel tip. Back to view through windshield. The 2 oncoming headlights are about to make contact as wider angle. The Batmobile explodes through what was a giant mirror and a sea of flying glass. Bandit number 2 lets off an ineffectual burst of automatic fire. Now lowers his weapon in disgust as the vehicle roars on. Back to Joker in sky, gritting his teeth in frustration, looking up ahead. Exterior park, angle of bridge over lake. The park road curves onto a bridge which spans the park lake. The hood car speeds quickly across. Angle below bridge. A bandit stands by a plunger detonator device. Back to bridge. The Batmobile starts across at full speed. Suddenly, a huge explosion collapses the section of the bridge directly in front of it. Interior Batmobile. Plummeting down through the air towards the lake, Batman works his controls frantically as Silver screams. Angle on lake. The Batmobile plunges into the lake. Ripples explode across the water's surface as the vehicle disappears. For a moment, all is still. Angle on Joker in air. The Joker looks down, chuckling contentedly. His expression suddenly starts to change. Angle on lake, his POV. Slowly re-emerging on the surface of the lake, the Batmobile. Its roaring turbine engines propel it forward, now supported by two hydrofoil pontoons. The makeshift craft speeds over the water at speedboat velocity. The Batmobile reaches shore, churning up chunks of mud as the pontoons contract and the car bounces onto the park road. From either side, two hood cars approach, machine guns blazing. Batman swerves the Batmobile onto the grass, roars cross-country toward the park exit at the hail of bullets as they begin to make cracks across its protective dome. Angle on park exit and street. The Batmobile speeds out into the street. One hood car is in hot pursuit. The other exits the park a block ahead and roars at the Batmobile from the other direction. Interior Batmobile. Silver looks over at Batman, trembling as more bullets chunk into the car dome, weakening it further.
Listen, it was nice of you to offer to take me home, but maybe I better grab a cab.
Exterior street. The Batmobile is about to become a sandwich as Batman suddenly squeals the vehicle into a parking building. The hood cars do respective 180s and follow suit. Interior parking building. The Batmobile roars around hairpin turns, ascending the levels of the parking building like a sports car. The hood cars screech after him, gaining speed. They pursue Batman higher and higher, threading the narrow openings through the lines of parked cars, tearing off side mirrors, doors, and fenders on their way by. Angle on higher level. The Batmobile, reaching the level just under the roof, squeals around a corner, catches the fender of a parked car, and spins out of control. Batman slams on the brakes as the Batmobile skids and turns to face the two hood cars, completely blocking off the exit ramps up and down. The occupants stare in amazement as the Batmobile suddenly roars at them. Interior Batmobile. Batman's jaw sets as he looks forward. Angle through windshield. A sign at the bottom of a narrow ramp leading to the roof screams in red letters, "Wrong way, do not enter, severe tire damage." Back to parking level. The Batmobile shoots up the wrong way ramp, close of metal teeth. As the Batmobile's tire make contact with the viciously protruding metal teeth, all four tires blow. The vehicle roars on, flubba-dubbing up towards the roof. Exterior roof. The Batmobile exits onto the roof as the two hood cars, appearing from the proper ramp, fan out to flank. Angle on Joker in air. The Joker takes up a position in midair just above and past the roof, roaring with glee as he sees the Batman is hopelessly trapped. Back to roof. The two hood cars close in on the Batmobile from either side. Batman is running out of room. Interior Batmobile. Silver looks through the windshield in despair. Angle through windshield. The edge of the roof looms up rapidly.
Oh my God!
She looks over at Batman, whose jaw suddenly twitches. Extreme close on Silver. She has seen his jaw twitch. She stares in disbelief, realizing the implications.
Oh my God!
Hang on.
Batman presses a red button. Extreme close on exhaust. The Batmobile's twin turbine engines explode with a white flame. Jet-propelled afterburners ignite. Wider angle. The Batmobile has reached the edge of the roof, now launches itself into space in an upwards arc. The two hood cars are unable to cope with the sudden void between them and crash head-on with a sickening crunch. Angle on Joker in midair. Staring in total shock, frozen in midair as the Batmobile arcs up toward him. Interior Batmobile. The figure of the Joker grows rapidly larger through the windshield. Batman honks at him. Back to midair. The Joker takes a panicked last-second evasive action, diving low as the Batmobile streaks by. The white-hot turbine flames from the vehicle's exhaust crease the top of his copter's whirling blades, melting them into disfigured curlets. The Joker looks up in despair as his copter begins to spin out of control and he zigzags helplessly through the air. Back to Batmobile. The sleek vehicle completes its downward arc through the air and lands on the roof of the building across the street. Exterior Gotham sky. The Joker cartwheels end over end through the air, his copter sputtering. Interior rich apartment. Dozens of guests surround a lavishly decorated banquet table in an expensive apartment. A bar mitzvah celebration is in progress. The proud father puts a loving arm around his 13-year-old son.
And so, Marvin, on this most special of all days, your mother and I have prepared a big surprise for you.
Angle on side of apartment building. The spinning, rudderless Joker careens through an open window on the side of the apartment building. Interior apartment. The Joker crash lands on the end of the banquet table, sending food and guests flying everywhere as he skids along, clearing it, finally splattering to a stop through an enormous pile of chicken livers into a mountain of cracked ice under a banner reading, "Today you are a man." The stunned guests hesitate a moment, then burst to wild, unrestrained applause. Exterior roof. The Batmobile sits parked on the roof where it landed. Interior Batmobile. Batman looks over at Silver, who has fainted. Get away.
Missing cloud. Missing cloud.
Silver's eyes flutter open, trying to regain focus.
May I take you home? Now.
Interior, Silver's hallway. Batman and Silver stop at her apartment door. She smiles at him through smeared elevator cable grease.
Very sorry about tonight. You must have been terrified.
Well, I thought, well, you can make it up to me.
Batman looks at her curiously. She suddenly kisses him deeply. He allows it, unwilling or unable to pull away. Close up. Silver's eyes open. She knows, or thinks she does. They break. Silver smiles mysteriously, whistles under her breath, enters her apartment. Interior, Silver's apartment. She leans against the door, sighs. Could it be true? Back to Batman. On the other side of the door, worried. Does she know? Interior TV studio, day. The quiz show The Joker is Wild broadcasts before a live audience. A contestant stands by 3 large video panels in the shape of a slot machine. All right, Otto, you've got $2,000. Spin the wheel. Otto pulls a lever. The first panel screen lights up. Joker! 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 A burst of machine gun fire riddles the third panel to shreds. Stepping through it, the Joker. An armed gang rushes in after him, holds Jack Barry in the audience. The Joker steps to center stage.
Good evening, ladies and germs. I just flew in from Lost Wages, Nevada, and boy, are my arms tired.
He giggles. There's a stony silence from the audience.
Give me a break, folks. I'm a veteran. Man walks into a bar, says, "We got any wild turkey?" Bartender says, "No, but I can get a tame one and irritate it for you."
He roars. The audience stares back, his eyes narrow.
But I digress. You see, I'm in the process of developing a new series of killings. All original, all different. Believe me, folks, you're gonna die laughing. And there's only one man who can cancel my little show, the Batman. Because from now on, each time he appears in public, any time he's seen anywhere, one prominent citizen of Gotham will die. I'm tired of fighting you, Batman. So the people are going to do it for me. Either you lose, or they do.
Interior, Wayne Manor study, night. Camera close on a television screen. The crackling face of the Joker disappears. Bruce flips off a VCR, looks over at a worried Alfred.
Why can't you do what he did, sir? Go on television as the Batman and explain your case to the people.
Risk having an innocent human being murdered for my sake? I can't chance it.
Bruce turns away in disgust, his mind racing.
Well, perhaps a night on the town, as Bruce Wayne might be therapeutic for you after all. You do have tickets for the gala opening at the opera. I was planning on using one myself, but if you prefer a more lively and decorative companion, I quite understand.
You know what? It's been so long I can't even think of who I could call anymore. Well, maybe who won.
Exterior, Gotham Opera House, night. Dozens of shiny limousines disgorge Gotham's formally dressed elite in front of the Opera House. Photographers' flashbulbs indicate that it is indeed a gala opening. The billboard marquee advertises "I Pagliacci." Camera pans to one arriving limo, and we hear a telephone ringing over the scene. Silver's voice answers it.
Hi, this is Silver. I'm not home right now, but if you leave a message at the beep, I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
The limo pulls up to the front of the Opera House. Silver exits in a shimmering evening gown. At the sound of the beep, we see her escort, Rupert Thorne. They make their way inside past a battery of photographers. Interior Opera House. A maze of beautiful people mingles in the lobby, exchanging greetings and appreciative glances. An army archer type comments on the passing parade for a local television.
I'm telling you, they're all here tonight, folks. Newsome, twosomes, tiresome twosomes, from showbiz to sports and politics. Look, there's millionaire socialites, Bruce Wayne, and here's the man for all seasons, Gotham's own city councilman Rupert Thorne.
Thorne sidles up to Archer with a hearty smile. Silver hangs back, suddenly spotting Bruce, surprised. Close on Bruce, having spotted Silver too, gazing in frustration. Back to Silver. She locks eyes with Bruce as Rupert slides his arm around Army Archer's shoulder.
I didn't realize you were an opera fan, councilman.
Tell the truth, I'm not. Army, but any elected official with us as many Italian constituents as I have would be darn well advised to give it a try.
Rupert laughs heartily as suddenly a huge commotion is heard outside. Muffled gasps give way to frantic murmurs, then local silence as the Batman appears in the doorway. Rupert stares wide-eyed. Archer blinks in disbelief as the crowd parts and Batman enters the lobby. Close on Bruce, frozen. He exchanges an incredulous glance with Alfred. Close on Silver, totally taken aback. Her gaze flicks from Bruce to Batman to Bruce to Batman like someone watching a tennis match. Gordon stands in a group at the top of the stairs to the mezzanine, looking down in dismay. Back to scene. The Batman joins Rupert and Archer at the microphone with a cold and distant air. His resemblance to Bruce is uncanny. Archer swallows nervously.
You're taking quite a chance showing up in public like this, aren't you, Batman?
The way I see it, we're all taking quite a chance. If we let that sick criminal mind like the Joker paralyze the city, this entire community with fear.
An angry muttering is heard from within the crowd.
Sure, he's not the one who's gonna get killed!
Batman's head snaps around angrily at the remark.
Step forward and say that to any of my face. If you got the guts.
More angry muttering is heard, mixed in with boos.
Get out of here. Oh, Batman.
The boos grow louder and defiant as Gordon hurries to the fake Batman's side and Thorne smiles thinly at the imposter.
It seems you're not exactly the people's choice anymore, Batman.
Come on. Let me get you out of here before these gentle people tear you up to little pieces.
Gordon leads a reluctant Batman away through the jeering crowd. Bruce watches in horror with Alfred as the taunts continue.
Leave us alone! I'm not getting killed for you!
Gordon appears in the doorway, raising his arms.
Settle down, folks. Take it easy now. We got half the police in this city on their way over here, so if you'll all take your seats.
Is it crazy? Let's get out.
Wait!
There's a hush. A stern-faced Thorne quiets the crowd.
What the Batman just did was inexcusable, perhaps even criminal. But he's right about one thing. No cheap hoodlum is going to intimidate Rupert Thorne while I still have the saliva to spit on him. My ticket says E6, and that's where I'm parking my keister for the next few hours. And I call upon His Honor the Mayor to join me in the audience.
Gotham's mayor emerges from a group of onlookers. A gray-haired man who is visibly terrified. He swallows hard.
Councilman Thorne is right, of course, and I expect every other decent citizen of Gotham City to stand up and be counted. Mm-hmm.
The mayor silently starts up the stairs to the mezzanine. After a beat, Thorne theatrically extends his arm to Silver, who hesitates, then reluctantly joins him. They start for the orchestra section as others in the crowd begin to follow. Close on Bruce, watching Silver disappear, his jaw twitches. Interior opera mezzanine. Bruce and Alfred head for their box. The mayor approaches from the other direction, now escorted by Gordon and a phalanx of police. The mayor sees Bruce and stops to shake hands.
It's good of you to stay, Bruce.
You've made a courageous decision, Your Honor. I hope it's the right one.
The mayor nods grimly, enters his box, interior Bruce's box. As Bruce and Alfred enter, Gordon stands in their box, a radio receiver in his ear. A loud ovation is heard. Wide shot, audience. The audience is on its feet, facing away from the stage, applauding the mayor in his box. The mayor lifts his arms in a victory salute. The applause dies down. The lights dim. The overture to I Pagliacci is heard off screen. Camera rises past the mayor and his party to the hanging chandelier directly above it. The fixture consists of huge crystal teardrops, extreme close on chandelier. One of the crystals is filled with a clear liquid. Back to Bruce. Bruce and Alfred settle into their chairs. Gordon mumbles into his radio receiver, ever watchful. Dissolved through 2, interior opera house, angle on stage. The leading man, Canio, dressed as a clown, sings the aria Vesti la Giova, a passionate, sad piece. He kneels in front of a large, gaily painted drum, angle on Bruce. Alfred nods off in his chair. Bruce elbows him gently. Back to Canio. Approaching the high point of the aria, with a magnificent voice, he reaches for a high C, hits it strongly and purely, holds on to the note. Angle on Mayor's box. The mayor and his party exchange impressed glances. Camera pushes in on the chandelier teardrop. It trembles from the force of the high C, now cracks. The liquid drips down into the box. Back to stage. The sad aria is ending. Canio is on his knees, sobbing. He sings pianissimo, milking every heartbreaking sound. Seconds, suddenly off screen a chuckle. Then the sound of laughter. Canio peers angrily into the audience. Angle on Mayor's box. The mayor and his party guffaw loudly, pounding their chairs in glee. Angle on Bruce. Bruce rises from his seat concerned. Back to Mayor. Tears of laughter stream down the mayor's cheeks. He is on his feet now, totally out of control. The others flop over their chairs, roaring helplessly. Back to Canio. He walks off the stage in disgust. Back to Mayor's box. With a sudden final burst of insane giggling, all 4 men collapse. The mayor hangs over the edge of his box, dead, a grotesque grin frozen on his face. Angle on audience, gasping, panicking as angle on stage. The huge clown drum suddenly rips apart from the center. The Joker steps out, dressed as an obese soprano.
Wait! The opera's not over till the fat lady sings.
The Joker hits his own version of a high C.
Open fire!
The lights go out. Gunfire and screaming are heard in the darkness. Total pandemonium. Insert shot, Gotham Tribune. The Gotham Tribune cartwheels into frame. Clown Prince of Crime makes good on boast. Rupert Thorne appointed acting mayor. In the center of the page, a large photograph of the Batman with the caption, "A Killer." Interior Batcave, wide angle, day. Bruce paces dejectedly, a tiny figure lost in the vastness of the enormous cavern. Angle from stairs. Alfred watches sadly from the top of the stairs, back to Bruce. Still pacing, thinking. He passes the huge crime computer, pauses, looks down, punches some keys. Angle on computer screen. A series of criminal mugshots flashes across the screen. Lawbreakers of every variety, finally stopping at the face of the Joker, grinning down menacingly. The screen suddenly goes blank. Wider angle. Alfred has turned off the computer. Bruce stares numbly.
Sir, perhaps this isn't the only way. Perhaps this is all meant to signal a new beginning for you. After all, you're an intelligent, enterprising young man with every capability in the world to...
Bruce puts his hand on Alfred's shoulder.
I know you love me very much. I'm deeply grateful, but I wish you'd get out of here now and please leave me alone.
Alfred pauses, then nods, walks off dejectedly. Close on Bruce. He wanders through the cave with glassy eyes, passing the table near the Batmobile. On it, a new version of the battering ram. Bruce picks it up, smiles bitterly, carries it in one hand as he continues to wander, passing the crime lab section. Suddenly, he lashes out, sends the battering ram flying through a set of glass beakers filled with chemicals. Swinging it wildly now, he destroys a section of the crime lab, then sinks heavily into a chair, head bowed. Exterior Wayne Manor, wide angle day. The hot noonday sun drenches the spacious grounds of Wayne Manor. Seen running along a track cut on the periphery of the estate, the solitary figure of Bruce Wayne. Interior Wayne Manor living room. Alfred watches from the window concerned as off screen the telephone starts to ring. Exterior running track. Camera close on Bruce's grimly determined face, oblivious to the rivulets of sweat which pour down freely. His body is encased in several layers of exercise clothes, deeply stained by perspiration that turn him into a human pressure cooker. Back to Alfred. The telephone continues to ring. Alfred turns, still distracted by the sight of Bruce, and answers it.
Mr. Wayne's residence. I'm sorry, he's not available. Just now.
Interior City Hall office day. Camera close on the door to an inner office marked Special Assistant to the Mayor, private. The door opens as Silver exits, followed by several needy-looking constituents.
Out of here! I'll take it up with Mayor Thorne. Gotham needs an effective network of daycare centers, and tomorrow night's charity opening of the circus seems like a good place to start.
The constituents thank her profusely. Silver crosses to her secretary's desk with a hopeful look.
Any luck?
Nada. Mr. Wayne seems to be permanently unavailable.
Exterior Wayne Manor night. Wayne Manor seems deserted under the glow of the moon. Angle on Bruce and pool. The Olympic-sized Wayne Manor swimming pool is illuminated by the glow of outdoor lights. In it, Bruce swims laps, knifing through the water with powerful strokes. Exterior pool, close on Bruce. Bruce churns through the water, eyes glazed with a total single-mindedness. He tilts his head to take another gulp of air, suddenly stops dead in the water as he sees Angle on Silver, his POV. Silver emerges from the darkness, her glistening hair cascading down over an evening dress. She carries a wooden tray with 2 glasses of champagne on it, smiles as she faces a stunned Bruce who stands waist high in the water.
You know, Bruce, you simply must pick up your phone messages.
If I did, what would they say?
That we were supposed to have dinner tonight. And for some strange reason, I thought you might suddenly have an evening free.
Silver, look. I hope you won't misunderstand what I'm about to say.
There aren't going to be any more misunderstandings between us, Bruce. And I warn you.
Silver slowly and calmly begins walking down the steps into the pool, carrying the tray with her. The water rises above the hemline of her evening dress, heading up for her waist as she advances towards an astonished Bruce.
Can be a very determined person.
Silver arrives at Bruce, the water now up to her chest, letting the wooden tray with the champagne float on the surface next to him. She hands him a glass, takes the other herself, raises it, stares deeply into his eyes.
To no more misunderstandings.
Bruce smiles in spite of himself, tosses back his champagne, then studies her unwavering gaze. Flipping the glass over his head, he suddenly pulls her toward him, locking her in a passionate kiss. Silver whispers into his ear.
There. See what I mean?
No. What?
Well, just now, that you're being rude, not getting out of the pool to say hello. I didn't realize you weren't wearing a bathing suit.
Heyo! Interior Bruce's bedroom night. Bruce lies naked under powder blue silk sheets. A lovely hand comes into frame, gently strokes his cheek.
Titanic, that. And I think of how many nights I've reached across an empty pillow, hoping my hand would find that face.
Then a shining mane of hair as Silver, also naked, wraps him in a tight embrace. They kiss.
There's so much to explain, and I'm not quite sure I ever can.
I don't need explanations. I just want whatever it was to evaporate, to simply disappear.
She rolls over, looks at him carefully. A police siren is heard faintly in the distance. Bruce blinks.
Did you ever meet him?
Who?
The Batman. Every time I hear a siren, I think of the Batman.
I ran into him a few times here and there.
Silver smiles down tenderly, studying him.
You know, that night at the opera, I never believed that the real Batman would show up like that in public. Not when he knew someone else's life was on the line.
You're right, he wouldn't. You met him too one night, didn't you? Commissioner Gordon told me he took you home or something.
Or something. What can I say? He was dashing, resourceful, and strong. very sweet in his own special way. All the things you'd expect from the Batman. Next morning, I told Rupert I'd fallen madly in love with him.
You don't say.
And what's more, I told Rupert I was sure that the Batman had fallen in love with me.
They look deeply into each other's eyes, silver smiles.
I think I'm jealous.
I think I'm in love.
They wrap themselves in each other passionately. Exterior Gotham Circus grounds night. A billboard, the greatest show on earth, featuring the Flying Graysons. All new spectacular extravaganza, the glory that was Rome. Past the billboards is a maze of smaller tents for sideshows, the housing of animals, etc. Past them, the big top itself. Camera pans the arriving spectators, Bruce and Silver among them. They are surrounded by mothers and children.
It is almost immoral, you know? Going to the circus without bringing your own children along.
Don't worry, I've made plans for the next time.
Bruce looks over alarmed. Silver grins.
Lighten up. My sister has 2 kids.
Interior big top.
Pregnant.
A major parade, the glory that was Rome, is filing out. Pretty girls in togas ride elephants. Handsome charioteers drive by. Gladiators with trained bears, etc. Angle on audience. Bruce and Silver sit in the audience applauding. He eats popcorn. She munches on cotton candy. Angle on big top entrance. A dozen clowns of every shape and variety run to the arena, squirting water at each other through toy guns, rough housing, doing pratfalls, etc., all to the delight of the crowd. Angle into arena from tunnel. Inside entrance tunnel, camera holds behind the outline of a black cowled head with pointed ears. The head lowers out of frame, then reappears, this time covered by a clown mask. The clown figure hurries out of the tunnel wearing a 4-length granny dress. Back to arena. Several of the other clowns have dispersed. Running up into the audience is a drum roll sir. The granny clown edges over towards the cage containing the big cats. Back to Bruce and Silver. One clown runs up the aisle past them with what seems to be a bucket of water. Spots Silver, flings the contents of the bucket at him. Bruce and Silver flinch as a shower of confetti blankets them to general laughter and applause.
Now let me direct your attention to the trapeze and high wire. Our stars of the evening, the Flying Graysons.
Angle on Graysons, a family of aerialists. The older Graysons, trim and athletic, stand on one platform. Their son Dick stands on the other. He is in his middle teens, a handsome young man in immaculate physical shape. He takes hold of a trapeze and swings down. Angle on stands. The clown who poured the confetti on Bruce and Silver watches through pancake makeup with more than a passing interest. Protruding from underneath a large silly hat, we see the edges of a startling green shock of hair. Angle on Dick. Dick Grayson swings on the trapeze in a long, powerful arc, executes a difficult flip into the arms of his father. Back to Bruce.
Remarkable. That young boy is one of the greatest natural aerialists I've ever seen.
Oh, I didn't realize you were so familiar with the sport.
Silver gives Bruce a sideways look, which he ignores.
And now Dick Grayson will attempt to perform the incredible quadruple without a net. He's the only flyer in the world to accomplish this feat.
Angle on Dick. A drum roll is heard. Dick swings down, picking up momentum, then back up, then down again. On his third pass, he tries it. Revolves dizzyingly, making 4 complete somersaults in midair. Note, there is actually only one person in the world who can do this, the Ringling Brothers. Dick completes the impossible feat to wild applause. Angle on Bruce and Silver. On their feet, applauding enthusiastically with the crowd. Angle on Clown, Joker. The clown, Joker, giggles under his breath, lifts one billowing sleeve of his oversized costume and begins to unbutton it.
The Graysons will now perform their world-famous maneuver on the high wire, passing each other and exchange positions, all without a net.
Back to Bruce and Silver, both staring up wide-eyed. Angle on Graysons. The older Graysons stand at either end of a high wire some 70 feet off the ground. They each hold a long balancing pole, now start forward towards each other.
The slightest vibration, the tiniest misstep, could send them both plunging to their death.
Back to Graysons, inching forward towards each other along the taut wire, using their balancing poles for support. Angle on Joker. All eyes are riveted on the Graysons. Joker opens the billowing sleeve of his clown costume, popping out a live falcon. It hesitates, then takes off. Back to Graysons. They're face to face now on the wire, preparing to pass each other above the hushed crowd. Suddenly, the falcon flies into view, lands heavily on one end of the male Grayson's pole with a shriek. The surprised man teeters. The wire trembles. The falcon suddenly flies at his face. Both Graysons tumble off the wire together, plummet downward. Angle on Dick as his parents hit the ground heavily in front of him. Angle on Bruce and Silver. Silver screams in horror. Bruce stares unbelievingly. Angle near big cat cage. Suddenly, the granny clown standing by the big cat cage rips his mask away. The dress falls to the ground, revealing the Batman. Quick cuts. The crowd gasps. Bruce gapes in disbelief as Silver watches him. Dick Grayson looks over from the bodies of his parents. The Joker grins, close on Batman. The Batman stares coldly, speaks in an icily clear voice.
I'd risk my life to help this city. I stood up for what I knew was right because I thought you people were willing to stand with me. Well, now you can pay for your cowardice. Now I don't care how many have to die.
Angle on Bruce and crowd, and angry murmuring rumbles through the crowd.
Stop him! Don't let him get away!
Bruce vaults into the aisle, lunges down the steps after the fake Batman as the Joker takes off his huge clown nose, throws into the arena, a giant smoke bomb. All over the arena, other clowns follow suit. The big top has become a scene of impenetrable chaos as the fake Batman opens the door to the big cat's cage. Lions, tigers, bears, et al. Bound off their perches for freedom, rushing out of their cage to the screams of the crowd. The fake Batman disappears into an enveloping wall of smoke. Angle on Bruce, knifing his way through the panicked spectators, lunging through the smoke after the fake Batman. Angle on Silver. Silver stumbles after Bruce through the pandemonium, reaching the empty cat cage, gasping for breath with teary eyes.
Bruce. Bruce!
Back to Bruce, nearby, spotting her, eyes widening in horror.
Silver, look out!
A huge tiger snarls, preparing to spring at her. It launches itself into midair as Bruce flies at Silver from the other, pulling her down to the ground as the enormous cat sails over them, banging its head into the cage bars, knocking itself senseless. Bruce pulls Silver to her feet, wraps a protective arm around her, leads her off through the smoky panic and confusion. Angle on Dick Grayson. Dick kneels protectively over the bodies of his parents, oblivious to the insanity around him. Spectators and animals rush past in all directions as he removes his aerialist cape, then gently covers the faces of his mother and father. Dissolved to exterior circus grounds, night. Camera looks down on the aftermath. Police cars and ambulances everywhere. Smoke still drifts from the big top. Dazed patrons mill around looking for lost family members. Angle near big top entrance. Silver emerges from a medical tent marked by a red cross, sporting a heavily bandaged hand. She spots Alfred and the Rolls Royce near the entrance to the big top, walks over.
Doctor says no more crap games for a weekend or so. Alfred, where's Bruce?
Mr. Wayne wondered if you'd be good enough to let me drive you home.
She looks off into the big top. Angle on Bruce, her POV. Bruce stands motionless in the dark shadows at one end of the tent. He stares across the arena. Angle on Dick, Bruce's POV. Dick Grayson sits alone in the corner, head bowed. Back to Bruce. Bruce's eyes are filled with tears. Back to Silver. Silver watches, somehow feeling the deep significance of the moment without the specifics. She turns to Alfred quietly, nods, gets in the car. Interior tent, close on Dick. Dick is slumped, his head still bowed. Tears roll down his cheeks. Suddenly, a dark shadow inches across his face. Bruce stands over him, peering down, looking deeply into him with a mesmerizing stare.
What will you do now, son?
I don't know. They were my only family. My name is Dick.
Oh, God. He bursts into tears. Bruce grabs him and holds on tightly.
I know exactly how you feel, son. You may not believe that, but I do.
Suddenly, we hear the sound of angry murmuring from a crowd. Then the rapping of a judge's gavel silencing them. Interior Gotham Courthouse day. Camera pans down from the symbol of justice with her scales painted on the Gotham Courthouse ceiling.
I find you guilty of wanton negligence against society, of knowingly causing the death of an innocent human being.
A black-robed judge reads the verdict to a courthouse full of spectators, but an empty defense table. The witness chair is also empty. Alone at the prosecution table, Rupert Thorne.
Of usurping the authority of those legally sworn in to uphold law and order. The time has come to be rid of you and your reckless vigilantism.
Bruce and Gordon sit in the front row. Bruce's eyes reveal more emotion than he would care to. The judge turns to face the empty witness chair.
Batman, you have been tried in absentia and found guilty of murder. You are sentenced to death. Mayor Thorne?
Thorne rises, pompous and grave.
Your Honor, this is a tragic day in the history of Gotham. A once admired champion of the people has become a lethal weapon, dealing an indiscriminate death. To prevent further carnage, I've instructed Commissioner Gordon and his department to bring in the Batman by whatever means necessary.
Thorne sits. The stunned spectators begin to murmur loudly.
The Batman? A killer? Who'd believe it?
I still don't.
Bruce, I yield facts. The simple fact is, you're looking at one poor son of a bitch who made a deal with the devil.
Bruce stares blankly at the witness chair. The judge pounds his gavel for silence. Camera zooms in on the gavel. Interior second courtroom day. Camera pulls back from another gavel, wrapping in another courtroom, revealing the face of a more benign judge.
Therefore, by the power invested in this court,
Bruce and Dick Grayson stand facing the judge.
I hereby declare Richard Grayson be the legally designated ward of Mr. Bruce Wayne. And may I add in passing, you're a very fortunate young man.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I meant...
Bruce
Dick.
turns to Dick, grins broadly. Exterior Wayne Manor day. The Rolls Royce pulls up in front of Wayne Manor. Alfred hurries to open the front door as Bruce and Dick exit the car. Dick stares up at the sprawling residence in awe. Interior Wayne Manor hallway. As Dick enters with Bruce, the towering hallway of Wayne Manor is filled with balloons and a banner reading, "Welcome home, Dick." Silver grins down from the staircase. Dick drinks it all in, slightly uneasy and embarrassed. He wanders into the enormous living room, unsure, visually adjusting himself to his new outsized life. Exterior Wayne Manor. Camera pans across a fully outfitted trapeze and ring set on the lawn of Wayne Manor. Bruce gazes up proudly at it, looks over to Dick for his reaction. Dick looks up at the apparatus somewhat apprehensively, then flashes Bruce a self-conscious smile. Bruce understands, claps a hand on his shoulder, leads him away. Exterior poolside. Dick lies sunning himself on a chase by the pool. Suddenly, a large wet beach ball lands on his stomach. He pops up and looks up towards the pool. Bruce and Silver laugh from inside the pool, gesture at Dick to come and join them. He gives them a half-hearted smile, shakes his head, then tosses the ball back. Silver looks at Bruce with concern. Interior Wayne Manor dining room. Dick toys with his food at lunch, looks over nicely at Bruce, who is talking nonstop from across the table.
Later on, we'll pick up Silver and go on that new magic musical everyone's talking about. We can't stay out too late. Don't forget, we've got a double header tomorrow.
I hope I can. Sounds great.
Something wrong? Dick?
Sounds great.
Dick lowers his eyes, not wanting to respond.
We're all just trying to do excuse me. We're all trying to just a little too hard around here to make you feel a little at home, right?
It's not that. You've been wonderful to me. It's my fault. You've had to try so hard. It's just that I still hurt so much sometimes, and when I remember, and I get so filled with hate.
Hate?
Dick's eyes harden. His face sets with a cold look, not unlike that of young Bruce Wayne when he faced Joe Chill.
I made a promise to myself. The day my parents died, I promised that someday, somehow, I'm going to keep.
Bruce's eyes flick over carefully.
What did you promise?
I'm going to kill the Batman.
There is a long silence. Bruce smiles tentatively.
It's a pretty tall order.
Well, we'll see. I have the rest of my life to get it done.
What if he's skipped town? Given the whole thing up, died even. No one ever knew who he was in the first place, and you can't dedicate your whole life to killing a ghost.
I thought you'd understand when you told me your parents were killed. Didn't you feel the same way?
Well, I was younger than you are, and
Didn't you hate? Didn't you want to do something about it?
yes, for a while. But then I realized how fruitful it was. Fruitless, mind you, it was.
Dick rises from the table, looks over with total piercing sincerity, his eyes misting over again.
Listen, I'm grateful for everything you've done for me and for all you intend to do, but if you can't live with my promise, accept it, support it. Even then, maybe we've made a mistake. May I be excused now?
Bruce stares back, deeply moved, almost whispers.
Of course you can.
Dick hurries out the door.
Yeah, I'm hurrying.
Bruce grits his teeth, crumples up his napkin, squeezing it into a tiny ball.
Damn!
Interior Silver's apartment, night. A ribboned gift box as Silver's hands begin to unwrap it.
Rupert, you really shouldn't have.
The box is open, revealing Martha Wayne's necklace, wider angle. Silver sits on her living room couch, dressed in a bathrobe. She holds up the necklace, looks politely but seriously at Rupert Thorne, who sits next to her.
I mean, it's.
I remembered how much you admired it that day in my office. No one surfaced to claim it, so I arranged to buy it from the police department. Being mayor of Gotham has its little perks every now and then.
I can't accept it. I'm sorry.
Someone else isn't there. Bruce Wayne? I know you've been seeing a lot of him lately. Look, Silver, you deserve more out of life than some dilettante playboy. You've worked hard for everything you've become, and just like I have.
The man I love has worked hard for everything he's become as well.
And it's not Bruce Wayne? Wait. Oh, no. Don't tell me you still have that schoolgirl crush on the Batman.
I think you better leave.
He's a common criminal, a killer. I've sworn to bring him in, and when I do, he'll be executed.
Goodbye, Rupert. Oh. Don't forget this.
You keep it. I realize you may find this a bit hard to swallow right now, but I want you to wear it on our wedding day.
Thorne leaves quickly, closing the door. Silver smiles, shakes her head sadly, then looks at the necklace which she dangles in her hand, admiring it in spite of herself. Exterior Gotham intersection, night. Rupert Thorne walks briskly down the street, hat tipped low, coat collar turned up against the night wind. He arrives at a deserted intersection, checks the cross street signs, then glances down at his watch impatiently. Angle on side of building. Tucked under a high ledge of a nearby building, a mounted camera lens swivels, the moonlight glinting off its surface. Back to Thorne, looking around at the empty streets, irritated.
You're late.
Thorne's head snaps around at the voice. He sees nothing.
We shouldn't be seen together anymore, Mr. Mayor. You can't afford the risk.
Thorne stares. The Joker's voice is coming from inside a short-standing mailbox in the corner. Thorne hesitates, then slowly moves to the mailbox, tilts back the letter slot, and mutters, looking around nervously.
Feel like a goddamn idiot.
Interior Joker's lair, night. The Joker speaks into the microphone of a tiny transmitting set. A video screen above shows Thorne by the mailbox. Note, this seemed to be intercut as required.
That's what I felt like 20 years ago, Thorne, when I decided to start off your political career with a bang. Remember Thomas Wayne?
Every time I see his son.
Oh, no regrets now, Mr. Mayor. It's taken me too long to maneuver us into a position of total control in this city. I've got the judges lined up, the public at your feet. You owe me, Rupert Thorne.
It's a two-way street. Once I relieve Commissioner Gordon of his duties, you'll have free reign in Gotham. Less my cut. And now that it's legal to shoot the Batman,
We have to find him first. So far, it's been like looking for a virgin in a maternity ward.
then don't find him. Let him find you.
How? If Batman wouldn't appear at the opera to save the mayor.
The Batman wasn't in love with the mayor. He is in love with a certain young lady, or so she tells me, and I've never known her to lie.
What is she, a mute?
Careful. You may be talking about the next future Mrs. Thorne. I want you to kidnap her.
Now take my wife, please.
The girl is not to be harmed. Once you've killed Batman and made your escape, I'll call the police and rescue her.
The knight in shining armor.
Something like that.
I underestimated you, Thorne. I always knew you were corrupt, but I had no idea you'd turn out to be such a delightfully repellent human being.
Thorne spots someone coming, closes the slot, hurries off. After a beat, an ancient woman approaches the mailbox with a handful of letters. She lowers the slot.
You mind? I'll never get these pictures developed.
The woman screams. Her letters go flying in the air as she hustles down the street to the insane giggle of the crowd. Interior Silver's dressing room night. Silver sits in front of her dressing room mirror, brushing her hair, wearing a lacy powder blue negligee. She pauses, picks up Martha Wayne's necklace, attaches it around her neck, fingers it admiringly. From off screen, the doorbell rings. Interior Silver's living room, as Silver crosses curiously to the front door.
Who is it?
Gotham florist, lady, for a Miss St. Cloud.
Silver looks through the peephole. Angle through the peephole. A delivery boy waits, head down, holding a bouquet. Back to scene. Silver opens the door slightly, sticks her arm out. The delivery boy thrusts the bouquet in her hand.
Say it with flowers.
What a surprise.
She inhales the aroma of the bouquet deep. Her eyes become glassy. She drops to the floor.
What a straight man.
He swings the door open. It's the Joker. Interior police hallway night. Thorne strides purposefully down the hallway, followed by a reluctant Sergeant Hamer.
I don't know, Your Honor. I mean, you're the mayor and all that, but I work for the commissioner.
As of tomorrow morning, no one works for the commissioner. I'm relieving him of his duties.
They have arrived at Gordon's door. Haley is shocked.
I assume you'll be staying on, Sergeant, as a loyal member of the force.
I hope to, sir.
Then open it.
Interior Gordon's office. Haley's key opens the door. They enter. Thorne looks around, spots the red phone connected to the bat cave.
Thanks, Haley. That is all.
Interior Wayne Manor. Dick Grayson descends the staircase dressed in his pajamas. He hears a noise, sees a light coming from the study. Interior Wayne Manor's study. Alfred is tidying up the study, turns as Dick appears.
Is it all right if I make a sandwich in the kitchen, Alfred?
Why, certainly, Master Grayson, if I may be of help.
I think I can handle it. Thanks.
Interior Batcave. Bruce sits at the computer, runs through a criminal history of the Joker on the video screen. He pauses, looks off. Angle on bat phone. The red bat phone lights up, then dies. Lights up, and dies. Back to Bruce, staring, unsure. Interior Wayne's study. Alfred reaches to turn off the desk lamp. Suddenly, the light from the lamp rises, then dies. Rises, then dies. Interior Gordon's office. Thorne sits, bat phone in hand, waits. Back to Batcave. Bruce crosses to the phone. Back to study. Alfred presses the button under the desk. The bottom drawer pops open. Back to Batcave. Bruce picks up the phone, listens. Back to Gordon's office.
Batman? Batman, if you're there, this is Mayor Rupert Thorne.
Back to Batcave. Bruce listens silently, frowning. Back to study. Alfred holds the extension, listens in as well. Back to Thorne. Note, this conversation to be intercut between Thorne, Bruce, and Alfred as required.
This isn't easy for me, Batman, considering what I've said and done where you're concerned. But I love Silver St. Cloud very much, and I have a reason to believe that you do too.
Bruce and Alfred react in their respective locations.
I dropped by to have a drink with her tonight. The door was open. There were signs of a struggle, and she was gone. The Joker left a playing card addressed to you.
Bruce's face sets darkly.
Dear Batman, crime fighters may come and go, but I carry on in the great American tradition of violence. I'm calling my little caper Slaughter in Silver. Sorry, I have to run now. Write if you get work.
Bruce's eyes narrow, thinking. Thorne's voice begins to crack emotionally over the phone.
I don't know where they took her or why the note was left for you. I only know that Silver means more than my life to me, and I beg you to find her and save her. You're her only chance, Batman.
Thorne's voice dies away theatrically. He hangs up. Back to Batcave. Bruce hangs up, stares coldly, his jaw twitches. Back to study. Alfred hangs up in the study, worried. Back to Gordon's office. Thorne takes a deep breath, smiles, rises, exits. Interior Wayne Manor kitchen. Dick has made his sandwich. Closes the refrigerator door, starts off for the hallway. Angle on hallway entrance. Dick enters the dark hallway, starts for the stairs as he sees Angle on Alfred, his POV. Alfred rushes out of the study, heading for the living room. He slips, falls heavily, picks himself up, oblivious to the pain, rushes into the living room. Back to Dick, watching. He starts for the stairs, then stops. Now curiously heads for the living room himself. Interior Wayne Manor living room. Dick enters, looks around in amazement. Alfred is nowhere to be seen. His eyes scan the room for any other exit. Angle on grandfather clock, Dick's POV. The tall grandfather clock stands against one wall. A thin shaft of light seems to be emanating from behind it. Dick advances to the clock, looks down, puzzled. It seems to be standing at a slight angle away from the wall. Exploring the edge of the clock with his hand, he starts to pull back. The clock swivels, revealing Angle down into Batcave, Dick's POV, the Batcave, with all its trophies, computers, and all its regal splendor. Alfred is standing near the gleaming Batmobile, looks off with concern. Now emerging from the shadows, the Batman, dressed in his full regalia, heading quickly towards Alfred and the Batmobile. Back to Dick, staring down, his jaw slack, stunned. Interior Batcave. Batman crosses to Alfred, who stares with deadly concern.
Since when have you trusted Rupert Thorne? You don't even know where you're meant to be going.
The clues in the note were obvious. The Great American Tradition line. That's the same name of this year's series of exhibits, the Gotham Museum. Right if you get work. This month's its own American writers in writing.
If the clues are that obvious, they must want you to come. Can't you see that?
That boy up there thinks that Batman killed his parents. I told him he couldn't live his whole life chasing a ghost. What I realize now is I can't live the rest of my life being a ghost.
Back to Dick, listening at the top of the stairs, thunderstruck. Back to Batman.
Fight him back, old friend. Then I'll explain things to him. Tell him the truth. And have that Joker prove it. And if I don't, take care of him, Alfred. He'll be in much better hands than he was in mine.
Alfred silently steps aside as Batman enters the Batmobile, roars off to the cave. Alfred pauses sadly, then turns back, heading for the staircase again. He looks up. Angle on Dick, Alfred's POV. Dick stands at the top of the stairs, staring down, grimly determined, his face carved in granite. Exterior Gotham rooftops, night. Batman's silhouette as he leaps and glides effortlessly across the tops of buildings. Exterior Gotham Museum. The deserted museum with the billboard Great American Traditions. This month, American Writers in Writing. Exterior museum roof. The museum roof is a network of vaulted glass skylights. Two thugs stand on a surrounding catwalk. Close on catwalk. A sharp metallic ping is heard across the catwalk. Back to scene. The thugs look up. One pulls a gun.
Batman. Count on it.
They wheel. Batman stands directly behind them. He grabs the first thug, swivels him as the second thug fires, killing his partner. Batman shoves the dead man into the second thug as both bodies crash down through the glass skylight. Interior museum, up angle. The bodies explode through the glass, falling some 60 feet to the floor. Then total silence. Back to Batman. Staring down through the broken glass, listening. He pulls a tiny revolver from his belt. A barbed metal dart sticks out of the barrel. Batman aims through the hole, fires. Angle on museum rafters. The dart embeds itself deeply into a rafter. Attached to it is a white nylon cord. Back to Batman. Securing the other end of the cord. He hooks himself to it with a clip, glides through the opening in the glass. Back to rafters. Batman shoots silently along the cord to a rafter, lands gracefully, looks down. Angle down on museum, his POV. Through the dim, eerie light. This exhibit, like the one included in the giant penny, consists of huge, outsized versions of everyday items. In this case, the tools of a writer's trade. Enormous pencils, erasers, quill pens, fountain pens, ink wells, a 10-foot-high pencil sharpener, tall volumes of famous American novels, etc. In the center of the display, a giant electric typewriter, some 30 feet wide. A huge sheet of blank white paper is rolled up on it. Back to Batman. Staring down curiously through the silent darkness, his gaze starts to wander, then suddenly spots something. Back to typewriter. A figure attached to the typewriter now moves. It is Silver, hooked onto the ribbon near the center of the page. She moans, still recovering from the effects of the drugs. Back to Batman, eyes widening. He hooks one end of a nylon cord to a rafter, launches himself, swinging down towards Silver. Back to the rafter. A hand with a knife reaches out, slices through the cord. Back to Batman, now plummeting like a rock. He falls into the typewriter in front of Silver, his cape suddenly catching on something, partially ripping it, jerking him to a stop. Wider angle, the lights are turned on. Emerging from behind or under the various exhibits, 30 or 40 goons, close on Batman. Batman hangs helplessly from the circular element ball, which prints out the characters on the page. His cape is caught on the projected edge of one of the giant letters. He stares ahead, unable to extricate himself, eyes suddenly bulging with horrific recognition. Close on Silver's neck. Silver still wears Martha Wayne's necklace. Extreme close on Batman, stunned, slack-jawed as he recognizes it. Angle on Silver. The glaring lights have brought Silver back to semi-consciousness. Hooked to the huge ribbon near the center of the page, she suddenly spots Batman across from her.
Oh my God.
Wider angle, stepping out onto the end of the carriage, the Joker.
I knew you'd drop in, Batman. You're that type of guy. Get it? Type?
Close on Switch. Two goons give a mighty heave, flip the on lever. A loud hum is heard as the typewriter activates. Angle on Thorne. Rupert Thorne hides in the shadows behind a large pencil box, watches the scene. Back to Joker.
You know, you're nothing to write home about, Batman, but let's give it a try. What letter could be hiding under your cape? A D, maybe.
The Joker pulls a gun, fires down at the keyboard, close on letter D. The bullet hits the letter D, depressing it, close on Batman. The element ball carrying Batman shifts, hurtles towards the page with blinding speed. It cracks against the paper sharply, imprinting a D. Batman's head has stopped mere inches from the page. Angle on Silver. Eyes welded shut, terrified. The printing of the letter has advanced the ribbon. She is perilously close to the exact center of the page.
Not the D. Well, the next most common letter is E.
The Joker fires. Batman flies towards the page, this time nearly squashed on the other side. A giant E has been imprinted. Silver advances one more position on the ribbon.
An A, maybe.
The element ball spins, splats into the page, narrowly missing Batman, pushing Silver along again. Immediately, another shot. The ball whizzes past, prints another D.
I know I tried the D before, but I simply couldn't resist.
The message on the page reads, dead. The trembling Silver is only one letter away from being obliterated. Back to Batman, struggling but helpless, his eyes flash nervously. Back to Thorne, alarmed as he sees what could happen to Silver. Back to Joker.
I know what letter is hidden under your cape, by the way. It's B for Batman. But you see, I've got a problem. If I hit the letter B, Miss St. Cloud will die, and I promised not to kill her.
Back to Thorne, grim, pulling a gun. Back to Joker.
To be or not to be? That seems to be the question. Well, I suppose promises, like laws, are made to be broken.
Made a promise too, Joker. The night you killed my parents.
Yeah.
Quick cuts. No, Dick, not yet. Thorne looks up. Silver looks up. Batman looks up. The Joker looks up.
Huh?
Angle on Robin, their POV. Dick Grayson stands high in the rafters.
It's tea time. I promise to wipe filthy crude like you off the face of the earth.
Crud, shoot him!
Please, there is a hail of gunfire as Dick flies down through the air towards the typewriter. Dick lands on the tab key. The carriage releases, shoots across the typewriter, carrying the Joker with it. He flies off the end, crashes sickeningly into the wall, drops to the floor, unconscious. Dick bounces off the tab, flies across the keyboard, lands on the shift key.
That ought to give you a lift, Batman.
Oh, angle on Batman. The shift swivels the element ball 180 degrees to expose the capital letters. Batman is swung to the front, grabs the carriage, pulls himself up, looks down as Dick launches himself into a pile of goons like a human dynamo.
Leave him for me, son.
Batman leaps off the carriage, joins Dick in the fray. Note, the fight which follows will be outrageous and thrilling, but should look physically believable. The dynamic duo will overpower the game, using the following elements and devices. Dick flinging goons back into the pointed tips of quill pens. Batman lifting a fountain pen lever, firing a river of ink at an onrushing group. Both of them using springy, huge erasers as launching platforms. Oversized volumes of literature slamming shut on the villains. Enormous bookmarks and letter openers swung as clubs, knocking out 3 or 4 crooks at a time. Heavies being hurled into huge, deep inkwells, turning them sopping black wet, unable to climb out again. Dick bashing a pair of thugs back into the side of the giant pencil sharpener. They slam back against the on button, activated. During the chaos, Rupert Thorne has made his way down the typewriter's steel bar, which holds the paper to the roller. He unhooks Silver, lifts her to safety.
Rupert? What?
Don't talk. Let's go.
The fight continues as Rupert and Silver run down the bar, drop off the typewriter, cross the floor through the furious melee, heading for the door. Batman rounds the corner of a giant book. Silver spots him, stops.
Batman!
Thorne yanks at her. She tries to pull away, sees 2 goons coming up behind Batman.
Bruce, look out!
Batman ducks, rolls, trips the goons, knocks their heads together. Silver rushes towards him as Thorne pulls a gun.
Bruce?
Silver, get away.
Dick has bashed a goon backwards. He careens across the floor, hits Silver from the side, knocking her into Batman as Thorne fires, close on Silver. Blood spurts quickly across the lacy back of Silver's powder blue slip. Batman hooks an arm around her, stares into her face, struck dumb.
I'm right. Aren't I, Bruce?
Batman gently fingers Silver's necklace, lifting it slightly away from her neck, confirming his suspicion.
Where did you get this?
Rupert gave.
Batman's jaw twitches. His eyes flash with rage as they zero in on Thorne.
May God damn you, Rupert Thorne!
Thorne stares back horrified, suddenly realizing.
Bruce? Bruce Wayne?
Thorne fires wildly, turns and runs. Angle on Dick, giving chase. Dodging bullets as Thorne fires at him. Back to Batman. Lowering Silver to the floor. She's barely breathing. Angle on Dick. Dick rounds the corner of a giant prop some 10 feet high off the floor. Thorne waits for him on the next prop, gun poised and ready. Dick spots him, freezes.
I don't know what part you play in all this, kid, but it's turned out to be a one-night stand.
Back to Batman. Batman has placed a huge, viciously sharp thumbtack in a giant rubber band pulled taut. He lets it fly. Angle on Thorne. Thorne spins and ducks as the thumbtack whistles by. He falls backward, tumbling across the prop, which is the giant pencil sharpener. He falls into the hole. A disappearing scream is cut short as Thorne is ground to death. Angle on Batman. Batman kneels, cradles Silver's head in his lap. Her eyes flutter open painfully. She tries to smile.
Hello, Bruce.
He stares down, eyes filled with tears.
Maybe it gets better, but I just get in the way. I could never really have you. I could never fall in love with someone else.
Her eyelids tremble. One of his tears hits her cheek softly. She reaches up, gently caresses his chin.
Darling, you're the one who's left behind.
Tears stream heavily down Batman's cowl as he checks her pulse. Looks over his shoulder anxiously as the sound of sirens is heard approaching in the distance. Dissolved through to Interior Museum night. Commissioner Gordon supervises the aftermath and cleanup. The Joker's still groggy, handcuffed. It's yanked along by a cop.
Take it easy, okay? I get winded opening clams.
He's led away. Gordon stares across the room. Angle on Batman. Batman's eyes flick nervously through his cowl as he stands near a gurney where two paramedics are finishing attaching an IV apparatus to Silver's prone body. Gordon crosses to join him, shaking his head sadly.
The bullet went straight through. She's lost a lot of blood, but looks like she'll make it.
What a goddamn shame. It's really going to be broken up about this. Bruce Wayne.
Batman turns and glances at Gordon blankly.
You're real close, Maybe you don't.
Bruce. Bruce.
Angle on Silver. Silver's eyes flutter open. She looks up at Batman through a semi-conscious mist, her mouth trembling with a faint smile.
Bruce.
Close on Batman. Eyes widening in horror as he realizes she's unable to understand the consequences of what she's saying. Back to scene. Gordon looks from Batman to Silver to Batman again.
Poor kid must be delirious.
Silver reaches out unsteadily with her hand. Batman takes it, stares down evenly, fighting his emotions.
What about Bruce Wayne?
I want you to give him a message for me. Tell him that I love him.
He's a lucky man.
Not to worry ever about anything.
I'll give him the message, Mrs. St. Cloud.
Silver manages a tiny grin. Batman squeezes her hand gently and then releases it as the gurney is wheeled off. Gordon watches her departure with thoughtful admiration.
Can you grab the Marshall?
How about that, kid? She almost gets her time card punched and she's concerned about Bruce. You and I should have his problems. But at least you're back, Batman. All's right with this cockamamie world for a second. Now I don't know where the hell this young kid they're talking about went to, but...
He turns, looks. Batman has disappeared.
Thanks, partner.
Exterior Gotham Museum, dawn. The gurney carrying Silver is loaded into an ambulance. It takes off, red lights flashing, siren wailing. The rising sun is just beginning to crack the clouds on the horizon. Camera widens, starts to rise. The ambulance becomes a tiny red dot as we now view the magnificent downtown section of Gotham. Camera continues to rise, shooting up some 80 stories, then 90, then 100, finally revealing we dissolve as the dark, majestic figure of Batman, standing on the top edge of the tallest building in Gotham. He looks down silently. cape billowing out behind him, a regal black prince surveying his steel and concrete realm. Now swinging up and across from a nearby lower building, the imposing, grim-faced, colorful figure of Robin. Dressed in his green shirt, red vest, flowing yellow cape, and black mask, he lands on the roof noiselessly. Batman's eyes acknowledge his presence without turning. Robin advances, then stops silently, several paces behind. The dynamic duo has been joined, both for now and for the future adventures which await them in Gotham. Fade to black. The end.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hope you had a great time, and we'll see you at the next one.